Two different styles of play that, we'll see which one wins out. Yeah, we worked around goal this week, and we've got great players that can put the ball in the back of the net. I just think it's a game of moments, and you take your moment or you don't, and it's a lot easier said than done. But we've looked at the reasons why maybe, and tried to fit the puzzle pieces in where they need to go. But just building their confidence. These guys we're good enough to score goals. We know that we're going to get chances. We've had great chances in the last two games, and so I expect us to be better, in that aspect of the game for sure.
Yeah, I think we're feeling good. Obviously, a little unfortunate that we didn't get something out of the last game. I think we all thought we deserved something after that kind of performance. Thought we played very well away from home, worked together as a team. We're very organized. So that's exactly what you want. 3 games into the season is to put in a performance like that. So definitely a little unfortunate to come out with nothing from that game, but I think that's fueling us coming back home into this game. I think we're going to try and just build off that performance and have the same intensity and just be a little more quality in the game, and hopefully we'll come out with 3 points. Yeah, I think scoring goals is sometimes a little harder than other games, but that first one is always hard to drop. I think the last couple of games have been difficult, but we played some very good teams and we've had chances. So I think this game we're a little bit more prepared. We know that we're going to get chances and that we just need to put them away, and that'll win us the game. Yeah, I think it's having a front-loaded schedule like this with these kind of teams is always difficult, but it's a good test in the beginning of the season, because if you can get past these run of games, which you're playing top-ranked teams, they're always in the top power rankings. You come out of them with good performances, you're flying for going into after the first 10 games. So I think we just need to know that we can match up with anybody. We proved that against LAFC. I think we should have maybe got a result there, of course, but it shows that we can match up performance-wise, and we'll just keep building off that.
When we return here on the FC Dallas pregame show, Nick Harris and Steve Davis will join me to break down tonight's match. This is FC Dallas Soccer presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
It's a moment when I show up, God, I'm saying wow.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games, plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa, rest in one of our vast hotel towers, and catch the biggest names in music and comedy at the spectacular Lucas Oil Live, all just 1 hour north of DFW. So come live in the wow at the world of WinStar.
God, I'm saying wow.
With the 2026 Toyota Tacoma's all-terrain capability and advanced tech, you can do whatever you want.
Whatever we want?
Yep,
whatever we want! Like waking up in a tent with 0 cell service on purpose.
Or driving down a rocky trail that was never actually a road.
Or going out and doing donuts before we've had breakfast.
Or catching sunrise by the lake. And maybe even a fish if we're lucky.
The 2026 Toyota Tacoma, for every kind of adventure. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
Welcome back to the FC Dallas pregame show here, presented by Toyota. We have got about 23 minutes to kick off here from Toyota Stadium, so let's go ahead and bring you tonight's starting lineups. And those this evening are brought to you by Advocare. Let's start first with the visiting San Diego FC and second-year manager Mikey Vadas. It's Pablo Cisniega in net for the Chrome and Azul tonight. He's joined by Luca Bombino, Manu Dua, Ian Pilcher, and Oswald Sierra on the back line. You got the captain Annabelle Godoy alongside Oni Valakari and Pedro Soma in the midfield. Marcus Invarkston leads the line tonight for San Diego. He's alongside Alex Mighton and David Vasquez. And now let's bring you the starting lineup for FC Dallas and second-year manager Eric Quill.
Michael Colodi, goalkeeper, Frisco, Texas.
Shaq Moore, right back, Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Sebastian Ibiaga, center back, Duke University.
Nolan Norris, midfielder, Fort Worth, Texas.
Herman Johansson, wingback, Sweden.
Christian Capes, midfielder, Houston, Texas.
Ramiro Benetti, midfielder, Brazil.
Kaique, midfield, Brazil.
Joaquín Valiente, mediocampista, Uruguay.
Bernard Camungo, I'm a winger, and I'm from Abilene, Texas.
Petar Musa, forward, from Zagreb, Croatia.
And the subs tonight for Dallas: Jonathan Sirois, Lala Abubakar, Ron Benjamin, Deedson, Patrickson Delgado, Alvaro, Logan Farrington, Caleb Swan, and Sam Sarver. And now we bring in our commentary team for the evening. It's Nick Harris, it's Steve Davis, and first off, Nick, welcome to the FC Dallas Radio Network. And boy, you picked a great one for your maiden voyage, one of MLS's best offenses, led by Anders Dreyer, who's starting on the bench tonight for the Chrome and Azul, versus one of MLS's best defense, who took Nashville to no goals, and it took just a screamer from David Martinez for the black and gold of LAFC to get even 3 points at home last week.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me. It's going to be interesting to see how they balance without Anders Dreyer in the lineup. We can't assume it'll be for the whole 90 minutes, but it'll be interesting to see what their attack looks like with guys like David Vazquez.
Yeah, well, we can certainly hope. At least I'm crossing my fingers and my toes here in my boots to get there. But, Steve, we've been talking about at large this 3-game stretch being super important for Dallas. They get a point against Nashville. They almost get a point against LAFC, but they can't quite get there. So this is the third and final one. When it comes to results-wise here, what do you think is important for Dallas to try to achieve, in addition to just continuing this good run of play?
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Listen, FC Dallas showed us last year and the early stretches of this year, they can hang with the big boys in Major League Soccer. You know, last week, they were a little unlucky to get out without even a point. Okay, now do you want to take it to the next level? You got to show that you can do more than hang. You got to go out there and get all the points against the biggies in Major League Soccer. That's San Diego. So I think psychologically it's important because I think they took something away from the game last week. They felt pretty good about the way they played, but they didn't get the result. I think it's important they get the result tonight and really prove to themselves that this team is on an upward trajectory.
And they're going to have to do it, Nick, without Osaze Uragide, who's not in the 20 tonight. Garrett told us in our first segment he's dealing with a small groin issue. They don't expect it to be a long-term issue, but anytime you take out a team's best defender, regardless of sport, that's going to be a real big issue for you.
Yeah, we're going to see how they deal with those inverted wingbacks. They tested it against, or they tested it in the preseason and then used it against LAFC. You saw some really good things, and you could say that defensively they held up for the 90 minutes. It was just unfortunate that they couldn't find any offensive attack. It's
really kind of tricky, isn't it? Because I think Eric Quill has two wingbacks who are really good on the right side and two wingbacks who prefer not to be on the left side. So I think we might see them flip a little bit tonight. I think we're going to see them inverted to start. I'm not sure yet. We'll know in a few minutes, but I think you'll see them flip at some point because we know Eric Quill wants them to be able to play on both sides, so they can sometimes give the defenses different looks.
And it wouldn't be surprising to see him rotate them throughout the game depending on where the game action is. I'm a little surprised we didn't see that last week, but it did seem like something they were working on in training when we got a look. And obviously, Noah Osaze means somebody's got to come in. And, Steve, that's the homegrown Nolan Norris, who we expected to have seen a little bit more of by this time, before training camp. But as it's well documented, Portugal didn't go super well for Nolan. And as a result, other guys grabbed a job. Well, this is his first opportunity. But it's not an easy one for the young homegrown, is it?
Oh, no, it isn't. But, you got to take them when you can get them. And we know that Nolan probably didn't have quite the preseason that he wanted to have quality-wise. So now he gets another shot in the lineup. And, we've talked for years around here. Is he an outside back? Is he a center back? Well, in the way they're playing right now, being left center back, it sort of splits the difference. I think it's a good position for him. I love that he can hit that big switching ball with the left foot over to the right side. We're going to see that some tonight. I just guarantee it. So big opportunity for him. He's got to grab it.
It does help that he doesn't have to have Anders Dreyer out there to start this game. He'll be able to kind of settle in.
Yeah, it probably means Marcus Vargson, who's getting the start up top. That's probably going to be Sebastian Biaga's duty, and that's going to be a big test for the veteran there, and we'll see how he plays that through the first 45 at least. But also Dallas is going with a bit of a unique midfield combination today. They're playing arguably their four best midfielders in Ramiro, Kaique, Joaquin Valiente, and Christian Kappas. And, Nick, that's not something we've seen just yet from FC Dallas and Eric Quill. It looks like it may shape into kind of a 3-4-3, but it almost looks like he's trying to replicate that San Diego box midfield. It's very in vogue in soccer right now.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how they balance the shiftiness with guys like Ramiro and Kaique, but also the length in a guy like Kappas. And, as far as San Diego and what they do so well, they want to get out in transition and they want to run. They want to go. And if they can cut it off in the midfield with those four guys adding bodies in the midfield, we'll certainly be able to help their case.
Well, we even heard Eric Quill say yesterday in training, Steve, narrow. That defense has to be narrow, and they've got to be quick because if they don't, San Diego will tear them apart.
They're a good team. You've got to have speed of feet, but also speed of thought against the good teams. And I heard you talking about the midfield there. You said it might be something like a box. No, it's going to be a box. That's exactly what it is, because what they want to do is they want to match man for man in the midfield, not get outnumbered in there, because it's when you get outnumbered, they're so good with the ball technically, if you get 3v4 or 2v3 in the midfield, somebody opens up space, and then they hit the ball into Dreyer, into Pellegrino on the left side. Pellegrino's not starting tonight. That's when you're really in trouble. That's how they get you. So matching up man for man with that box, I think, is important.
And what's curious, Steve, kind of dig a little bit deeper on this. As we mentioned, it's not something Dallas has done so far, but one of the things we've kind of talked about, especially against LAFC, was getting service to the forward. In this case, there's only one tonight. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the way that the Dallas is going to play tonight with that box midfield, how does that change what Dallas wants to do to get that service? Does it change anything at all? Does it make it harder, easier? What do you think?
Well, I tell you what, Sam, to be very honest with you, Dallas hasn't been fantastic this year at creating chances.
Correct.
So I don't know that, what they're looking for is something that unlocks defenses. They're looking for something that sort of unlocks the chance creation. So I think that's what we're going to see tonight. This is still a young season. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens tonight with that box midfield. I don't think it changes the team tactically in a lot of ways, except getting one more body into the midfield. But I do think that's more about solidity, in transition and not letting San Diego play right through the middle.
And at least, Nick, what we're seeing from what the team is telling us is it's going to be Kappas and Valiente in that little bit more advanced role, while KK and Ramiro are going to play a little bit more of that defensive role. And I think that's going to be a curious choice there. And I'll start with you on this, Steve, because we've seen a little bit of that. That seems to be the way you'd want to do it, because even though KK can be aggressive at times, we've seen Ramiro play a really strong defensive midfield, and then we've even seen Kappas playing that 10 role when Valiente wasn't ready.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how this midfield is going to shape up, because you've got some mobility in there, and a guy like Kaike, you got the brains in there, and a guy like Ramiro, mobility and brains, and a guy like Kappas. We saw Valiente last week in about an hour. I think we might see him a little bit more tonight. I liked what I saw. He wasn't spectacular, but I think the other thing that we have to consider here is still a lot of guys playing new positions now and are a little different on the field, and got a new guy there, Valiente. So I don't expect everything to click exactly, but it needs to click enough.
Yeah, it feels like Eric Quill is still working out the best deployment of this squad, and he's, of course, having to do it with a little bit of injury woes to Osaze tonight. Well, obviously, Peter Musa gets to start again. He has started every game he's available. And by the way, hats off to him. He'll be heading off to Croatia for the national team when they go on international break after next week's game against Houston. And, Nick, obviously, Peter Musa scored 19 goals. He's arguably the best player on this team. I have confidence in him even if he's not playing with his buddy Logan Farrington. That's the guy that you write him on the sheet and you figure out the rest later.
Yeah, you talk about offensive chances and creating them. You're going to be looking for number 9 throughout the game here. And I think with Peter Musa, being able to find whatever works for him in the box and just try to get him good feeds in the box will be able to help get this scoring drought out of the way.
I was looking at some stats. Right now, Peter Musa, he's converting he's hitting target on 50% of his shots. That is a great hit rate. A guy like Sam Surridge, almost won a Golden Boot last year. He's at 40%. Guy like Dennis Bwaga, he's below that. So when you're putting literally half of your shots on target, that's a terrific rate for a striker. Let's hope he can keep it up tonight, because you put enough on target, some of them are getting by that keeper.
Well, we even saw it last week against LAFC. He had a couple of prime chances that if they'd gone a foot over here, a foot over there, Dallas was walking out of there with 3 points. And obviously the big thing is, tonight, he's just going to have to get service, and I'm curious. Those wingbacks might be the way you end up getting it, because you've got those 4 midfielders, but as you try to kind of get balls out a little bit against a narrow midfield, maybe a guy like Herman Johansson, who seems to have good chemistry with Musa, can help him out.
Absolutely. We said last week wingbacks they need to get a little bit more from them. They need a little bit more chance creation. We'll just say it again this week. They need a little bit more out of those guys. Although I thought it was better last week, because Bernie Kamunga was better. Herman Johansson on the other side was a little bit of a gray man. Didn't do anything great, didn't do anything bad. Just didn't really notice him much in the match. So they do need to still keep getting the crosses in, because we saw at the end, as Johansson was moved to the right side, boom, he's hitting crosses, and they're creating chances that way. So again, it's sort of a conundrum, because they both look better on the right.
And if Musa can find the back of the net today, he will move into 3rd place in club history in goals scored. So that's going to be a big one for him.
Yeah, and he's only been here about 3. This is starting his 3rd season.
Crazy.
Which is an impressive stat for the Moose tonight as he looks to get Dallas on the board. Well, his buddy Logan Farrington is on the bench tonight. Dallas has got, as we mentioned, a bit of an interesting bench because of the injuries and the changes they've made. And that's going to give Eric Quill some interesting late-game looks here, Nick, especially the big one being if they're trailing, if they're trying to get a goal or just get a point or 3, Logan Farrington sitting there on the bench is a very prime, juicy option for Eric Will.
Yeah, it's very interesting to go in to see not only how San Diego balances with Anders Dreyer and when he comes in to give some life to their offensive attack, but on the other side with Logan Farrington and FC Dallas. Whether that comes in the second half or at any point, it's curious to see when those kind of juxtapose each other and as both of these coaches look toward this game when they come in.
They usually like to get Anderson Julio on toward the end of the match because he's got the speed, he can stretch defenses, tire defenses. Don't have that available tonight, to your point.
Yeah, no, they'll have to make do with guys like Dietzen and Sam Sarver. And also we see Caleb Swan getting his first appearance on Dallas bench tonight as well. And that's, that is the kind of, I don't want to say downside necessarily, Steve, to going with this box midfield where you're playing 4 midfielders. You've kind of got to drop a guy. So a guy like Ricky Lewis, who you think a lot of, and we in general do, he's not quite making it because you need to put on those extra midfielders.
Yeah, you know what, Sam, we spent a lot of time talking about the different midfield arrangement, but honestly, your team characteristics are more important than where you line up on the field.
It's true.
The profile of your team and also how you manage the game. Are you technically sound on the night? But you can have the best formation in the world. If you're not technically sound, not making good choices, not managing the game, it's not going to matter. So those are the important things, to be honest with you.
So let's talk a little bit about San Diego here. We've done it a little bit already. They're coming off a big midweek match against Toluca. They picked up 2 red cards, although one of those only kind of counts. It was in the 87th minute. But they do get a 3-2 win against the Liga MX champion. And we're seeing the results of that tonight. They have rotated a little bit, Nick. As we said, no Anders Dreyer. Yepi Verkov, they're both on the bench. They are available. But Dallas gets a big break, kind of like they did against Nashville when Sam Surridge didn't play.
Yeah, looks like they're going to ride the hot hand or hot leg, I guess you will, of David Vasquez. He has not appeared in MLS just so far this season, but in that game against Toluca, had 2 goals in just 56 minutes, and he was a big presence for them, and he'll be a part of that attack today as well.
Yeah, Verkov is one of the best central midfielders in the league. Anders Dreyer, MVP finalist last year, so Dallas is catching a break here, but you got to take advantage.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, Steve, Mikey Varas has proven he's a system coach. It doesn't, you'd like to have Anders Dreyer in there, you'd like to have Sverkov in there, but the guys he can put in there, you see Valakarin's in there, you see Varkson's getting the start. They know how to work their system. They know how to play it really well. They're going to be dangerous no matter what the name on the back of the jersey is.
Well, again, they came into the league last year with a concept. They established that as their identity. They play out of the back. They play through the press. Then they can go over you in transition because they're really good at all of those. That's why they were a record-setting expansion team last year. In terms of wins and points for an expansion team. And Major League Soccer started with 10. They got 30 now, so that tells you exactly how many expansion teams there have been. And when you're setting records as an expansion team, you're doing something right.
A perfect microcosm of San Diego and how they've approached these last 2 seasons is tonight they have 7 guys in the starting lineup that are 23 or younger. And when you see that athleticism out on the field and the quickness, it has certainly manifested in the youth on this team.
And they've, we talk about the offense a lot, them high scoring. So far in MLS play, no goals allowed, although admittedly, Sporting Kansas City, St. Louis, Montreal, Dick, that's not the best group of trio that you could play. Well, at least if you're trying to score offense, it's not a very offensive-minded trio.
Yeah, and Eric Quill talked about it this week as far as seeing some things against Toluca that might be able to help out with FC Dallas and get on the offensive attack to give San Diego their first goal concession of the season.
Well, we are getting ready here. The players are walking onto the pitch. Dallas in their Inferno kit, and you've got San Diego in their trademark chrome and azul, and that's got to mean it's time for our keys to the match. That is presented by Steve Davis. It's also presented by Toyota.
I didn't know I was a presenting sponsor. That's great, Sam.
You're always presenting, Steve.
Number 1 key. Ibiaga's on the spot tonight, Sam. Not having Asazi or Urguidi is like losing a leg on the stool. He's that critical to Dallas' back line. So tonight it's on the veteran Ibiaga to organize, to plug the leagues, to keep the teammates aware in transition, and to communicate with young Nolan Norris to his left. And he's got to be smooth in distribution too, not get picked in there. It's a big ask, but he's got to come through. Number 2, pressing as a unit, so important tonight. It's not happening a lot for Dallas, but there are still moments when FC Dallas is not pressing as a unit. San Diego will absolutely crush you if you're gappy and you're pressing. If 1 go or 2 go to press, everyone has to go. Can't leave space for San Diego to play in behind you. The press has to be tight and right tonight. And number 3, Sam, just creating more chances. Dallas' defensive organization and its progression with the ball out of the back has been pretty good this year, but where they still need something is in more chance creation. Dallas is 21st in terms of expected goals. That's out of 30 teams. Wingbacks, midfielders need to find more ways to create chances for Musa because he can put those away at a high rate. Those, Sam, are your keys. presented by Toyota.
Thank you, Steve Davis. Players and referees, head referee Ricardo Montoya at midfield tonight. Back in Arlington, Kevin Terry Jr., Craig Lowry manned the VAR booth. As they are on the field getting ready for the national anthem, we will step aside and send it to our PA announcer, Chris Bucambuso.
What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the lands of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you. At Toyota, we don't just build trucks. We build something that's meant to last. That's why the 2026 Tundra is built to tough it out and to take it easy. Built to carry tradition and to make new ones. Built stronger, built louder, built here. The 2026 Toyota Tundra. Built in Texas, driven everywhere. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
It's a moment when I show up, God, I'm saying wow.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games, plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa, rest in one of our vast hotel towers, and catch the biggest names in music and comedy at the spectacular Lucas Oil Live, all just 1 hour north of DFW. So come live in the wow at the world of WinStar.
God, I'm saying wow.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
Welcome into a beautiful Toyota Stadium here in Frisco, Texas. FC Dallas here on match day 4 of the Major League Soccer season. Tonight, they welcome in San Diego FC, riding in an 11-game unbeaten streak away from home. The Road Warriors from Southern California coming in on the away side, while FC Dallas tinkering with some new things here early in the season. Alongside my guy Steve Davis. Steve, when we talk about this one, you talked about the keys in the pregame, but here early on in the early goings, what are you going to want to see from this FC Dallas squad?
Just to be tight in the middle. We know San Diego wants to jam it right through there, so use this new midfield setup to be tight, make it hard on San Diego right away. Get a goal. That'll make it really hard on them because they haven't given one up yet, and I don't think they've really been pressed in Major League Soccer this year.
Yeah, and if you look at it, there's going to be a new man in the goal for San Diego tonight. Pablo Cisniega, the Mexican, getting his first start this season. What are some opportunities potentially for this FC Dallas squad going up against a new guy in the goal?
Well, you know, it's again about chance creation for them. They've got to get the wingbacks more involved. Wingbacks have to get into better spots. They have to be fed better spots and get a little bit more pressure on any goalkeeper, no matter which one it is.
And Pablo Cisniega, since the start of 2025, he's allowed 9 goals. 7 of them have been to his left side. Does that benefit anybody specifically here for this FC Dallas squad?
Nope. Got to get goals. They count the same, left, right, center, whatever it is. Just got to get a few more goals.
Getting ready here for the opening kick. A bit windy on street level, but down on field level, not being felt too much.
San Diego does score some goals. 15 goals across all competitions this year against only 4 against them. And here we go.
We are off and rolling. Batted all the way back to Collodi. Collodi, one of the better long passers in the MLS, not just goalkeeper's perspective. Trying to get it down to Kaique, and it's headed out of bounds. Here for the throw-in is Nolan Norris. Actually, he'll hand it off to Johansson. Herman Johansson, the tall 6'2" Swede, in his first season with FC Dallas. And a whistle. We'll try it again.
Referee tonight is Ricardo Montero, fairly new. Not new to big-time soccer, but new to Major League Soccer.
Johansson in, finding Kaique. Kaique, long to the right side. Ibiaga, inside, really good look there. Into the 18-yard box. Musa had an opportunity, but it goes out for a corner. It'll stay on this side for FC Dallas.
Yeah, really good sequence there as Valiente on the underlap gets a cross in that San Diego did not look totally comfortable in dealing with. Good start to the match for FC Dallas.
And it'll be Christian Kappas to send it in with his left-footed corner. The native of Katy, Texas. He's had some good-looking balls so far this season. And this is another one. A lot of San Diego guys right there in the 6-yard box, able to head that one out. Still being dribbled around, looking for control, and Kaique will come up with it, and it's stolen back by San Diego. San Diego out in front.
Herman Johansson's lost a shoe back behind the play.
And now we get time to put it back on. And there is a San Diego FC member on the ground. Let's take a look. It looks like it's Oswald Sura.
Yeah, I'm not sure who he got tangled up with over there. These soccer shoes that they wear, you know, they want them as small as they can get them because they want to feel the ball better. So Herman Johansson struggling a little bit to get that boot back on there.
And back in action here is brought all the way back to Cisniega. Again, Cisniega, his first start here in the MLS. He spent the last 7 years in the United States. And actually a return to Texas for Cisniega. Here's another whistle down as falling to the turf is Pedro Soma.
I think he got a little bit of the moose there. Pedro Musa got him. Looked like maybe on top of the foot.
A couple of whistles here so far. Choppy pace in the first 3 minutes.
Now you see here what San Diego is going to do. They play through a press. They don't want to go over it necessarily. Very brave with the ball.
And Dallas working that press. And talking to Coach Eric Quill yesterday, it was about being physical in this press, not allowing them to get any sort of room. He said, quote, "You need relentless concentration," and it was almost a lot of concentration right there for FC Dallas, and Cisniega comes up with it.
Yeah, it was Ramiro pressing really hard way up the field, and that ball bounced around and almost found its way into Peter Musa.
And stolen right back. And kicked out. It'll go over to San Diego. And now down on the grass. It's an FC Dallas. Sebastian Ibiaga.
Well, this is what we mentioned. I don't know that they've really been pressed by a team heavily. You know, Montreal really didn't do it. St. Louis wasn't effective at it. Even at Sporting Kansas City. New team, new roster up there. They weren't really to press San Diego effectively. So they're struggling a little bit to get out of the back.
And the ball has remained on this half, and finally over the midfield line. Ibiaga trying to fight for it, and it will go over to FC Dallas. Throw in. Hesitated like he wanted to go quick, but stuck with it. Now out in front and headed out by San Diego, staying on this side for Dallas. It'll be Kamungo to throw it in. Now all the way back out to Nolan Norris. Over to Ibiaga. Over to Shaq Moore. Moore sending it through. And coming up is Cisniega to grab it just inside the 18-yard box, and it'll go over to San Diego.
Yeah, big ball sort of fell in between Ramiro, who had advanced, and Peter Musa just fell right in between them.
San Diego patiently keeping the ball on their defensive half, as Dallas has certainly made them feel this press here early on, and that's remaining the same. As Dallas has been able to keep this in the attacking third and able to steal it back. Here's an opportunity, and that's going to be a corner for Dallas.
I can tell you what San Diego is missing right now. They're missing Sverskov. Yep, he's Sverskov. He's so good at keeping control in the midfield, popping up in the right time to be the outlet, and then moving the ball forward, doing something sensible with it, and they're missing that right now.
Yeppe Serskov, their team captain, on the bench to start this one. So it's Anibal Godoy who's wearing the armband for San Diego here to start this one. Sent inside, and it's kicked back out. And Shaq Moore look to set things up, send it wide, and maybe a little bit too wide.
Yeah, I don't think Shaq Moore read Herman Johansson's run. He was trying to run inside, and Shaq Moore read the run as outside.
Now San Diego able to push into the middle third finally. That's been the tough part for San Diego, not necessarily even getting into their own attacking third.
And I think FCD lost its pressing shape just for a second there, and you see how fast San Diego can get out and take advantage of that.
Joaquin Valiente holding that line. Peter Musa moving up. And once again, back into the Dallas attacking third. And now here's the transition work that San Diego tries to do so well. Shaq Moore trying to run it down, and it's going to go all the way to Michael Colodi in the 18-yard box, and he'll throw it back in. Valiente in the middle. Over to Norris. Norris on the left side here. Johansson, little dip of a kick over here to Kaique, and Kaique just couldn't handle it. And now the flag is up anyway. Kaique got a little bit too far out in front.
He did, and what he needed to do was let that looping ball just leave it alone. He should have recognized he was offside, because Ramiro was running right up behind him from an onside position.
And there's a little chip kick there from Johansson.
Yeah, I don't think he meant to knock it up that high.
Now Dallas back on this press. And here in the game's first 8 minutes, they've certainly been able to have their way defensively. It's led to a couple of turnovers. Here's an opportunity now for San Diego. Shaq Moore trying to run it down. Michael Colodi in the area as well. He'll get it right at the corner of the 18. Now up to Shaq Moore.
San Diego plays those long balls through. The issue for Dallas is that Ibiaga just can't run down the ground, cover the ground like Osaze can.
Johansson, Norris. Back to Ibiaga. Norris looking to set some things up and sending it through. There's Petter Musa. Musa's out there at the corner of the 18. What can he do here? Who can he find? Inside, here's an opportunity. Could not get it. That was Bernard Kamungo who had a good look at it before it was deflected.
Terrific ball from Nolan Norris around the corner, finding Petter Musa running out in space. Great ball.
Kamungo couldn't handle it along the right line. Go out of bounds, and it'll go over to San Diego. Gotta like the offensive look there at least, even though it was deflected. Got a couple of players inside the box and a good look there for Bernard Kamungo.
Well, they're getting those turnovers in good spots. You know, when you can press and collect the ball that far up the field, you're going to get chances.
Now San Diego trying to run out in front. He's left all alone with 3 defenders back. And there's a whistle as hitting the turf there was Christian Kappas.
That's the issue, though. FC Dallas players have to recognize when something doesn't come off, they've got to get either back in shape defensively or make sure they're pressing so aggressively that San Diego can't hit those balls over the top. And because right now Dallas has gotten lucky because the first 2 have gone far enough that Colodi could reach them.
Ibiaga sending it through to Kamungo. Kamungo trying to run it down, but Cisniega will be able to haul it in. Maybe the wind carrying that one a little bit?
Could have been. It's pretty windy.
Yeah, I said at the pregame that it didn't really feel like the wind was affecting the field level. But if you see the corner flags, they are pushing.
Yeah, it doesn't in fact play too much in here because the stadium sits in a bowl, so you don't get a lot of wind down there, but you get some.
They'll keep work here. Here's Johansson trying to take it away and couldn't control it. And they'll stay with San Diego. Must have gotten just a toe on it to where the referee saw.
Yeah, I thought he did, and I was a little surprised that he just let that ball run out of bounds. Clearly he didn't think he did.
It's Brooke Mayo, the official here on our near side. Now Dallas back on this press. Here's Johansson trying to get it. Here's Norris. Norris is able to take it away and get it back to Coludi.
There's Manu Dua a second ago with some nifty work in the pack with Petter Musa all over him. He's good at bringing the ball out. Young defender, good young defender for San Diego.
Norris was trying to find Musa, but Musa was being held up.
That's the ball, though. You know, Nolan Norris is, excuse me, Nick.
You're good.
That's the ball that Norris can't provide. You know, before, if it's Ibiaga or Shaq Moore over there, it's the right footer. He can't hit that ball that we've seen Nolan Norris hit twice now. That's just difference between the left footer and the right footer.
Now working in the middle third. San Diego sending it back to Cisniega. Through. You see this press working all the way into the box where Cisniega, all he can do is just kick it out of bounds. It'll allow for a throw in for Johansson here just on the edge of the attacking third.
I think just matching man for man in the middle, and Nosferskov has really got San Diego a little rattled right now.
In the game's first 12 minutes, Dallas has controlled possession here early on. Oh, nice little kickback. Valiente inside for Musa. Musa had it deflected. Kamungo. And he had it intercepted right there in the box. That was a couple of good opportunities. And another send into the box is corralled by Cisniega.
Oh, Musa on the turn at about 10 yards. I would have put your salary tonight on it, Nick, that he was going to make that one. And he had Bernie Kamungo off on the right, but he's a striker. Striker shoot, don't mind it.
Well, Steve, we're both going home broke tonight, it sounds like.
Yeah.
A whistle on the field here. It's going to go over to FC Dallas. In a good attacking position here.
Yeah, about 35 yards out, pretty much dead center. And we've talked about before, teams in the past of Dallas have been a little smaller, a little more technical, built more on speed. And this team has Herman Johansson, who I think he's bigger than 6'2". I don't know who's measuring him. I want that same person measuring my weight because I think he's bigger. They've got Ibiaga. They've got Petter Musa, and usually they got Logan Farrington in there, so a lot of big targets named for.
Kamungo right in the middle, standing on the edge of the box. They're going to go to the right side, though, and it's headed out by San Diego and controlled. Now San Diego working to create some structure now. They just haven't been able to get out in transition like they are so accustomed to doing.
Dallas is just inviting them to go around the edge. They're just telling him, in effect, you're not coming through the middle.
And that ball went all the way through the middle, and all the way to Michael Collodi. Now Shaq Moore over to Nolan Norris. Norris had a couple of passes that he sent through, and now Johansson will send this one through. That's a good ball. And looked to be a little bit of miscommunication there, potentially between Petter Musa and Bernard Kamungo.
Yeah, I think he was trying to knock that on for Valiente, and Valiente was just a little behind the play, and Musa probably knows he didn't quite put it in the best position for him.
Now Norris stepping up, trying to make a tackle, couldn't quite get it. Now San Diego running the field. Getting into their third for what feels like the first time here in the game's first 15 minutes.
I'm quite sure it's the first time that they've had all 11 players in Dallas's defensive end.
Opportunity for the supporter side to be able to get a good look at the action. It's working in the midfield now. That press is still working to some effect. Now here's an opportunity and a really good look here for San Diego. Coming on is Michael Collodi, able to make a leg save. And the flag was up anyway. Marcus Ingvartsen had a good look at it. Collodi made the save, but it wouldn't have mattered anyway. Brooke Mayo had the flag up.
Yeah, but it still gives the goalkeeper a lot of confidence to make a save like that. And Ingvartsen was a good full step offside there, but Collodi coming out, making himself big, getting down low. Good moment for Collodi just the same. Won't count the stats.
Sometimes when there's a really good run, like you saw from Ingvartsen there's a reason for it. Now here's Musa taking it all the way from Collodi on the edge of the box. Getting it in to Kaique. Kaique sending it through. That's the first shot on goal opportunity, but it's corralled by Cisniega to his left.
Big ball out of the back on the free kick. Set Musa free. Musa chased it all the way down to the end line, and eventually Musa sort of stumbled around, and I think he was trying to work for his own shot. Gave it to Kaique. Kaique didn't give it back.
Still fighting. San Diego trying to stick to one-touch pass or one-touch possessions from player to player, it seems like, because if they take more than one touch, there's going to be an FC Dallas defender right on him. Now sending it through to the midfield. That's where things get crowded against this FC Dallas attack tonight. Kamungo couldn't control it. Now here's San Diego coming through on the edge of their box. Right at the corner. Shaq Moore working against it. Ibiaga. And now San Diego's pleading for a handball. It looks like it's going to be a corner for San Diego instead. Conversation being had with head official Ricardo Montero.
Bernie Kamungo lost a challenge in there against Alex Mighton. He's got to win. He's just got to win that challenge. I thought he was going to be first to the ball and just didn't quite go in strong enough. Set the action going down on the left side. There's a quick VAR check here.
VAR being handled by Kevin Terry Jr. and Craig Lowry out in Arlington.
Uh-oh.
Annabelle Godoy.
Uh-oh.
That has been pleading the case, and they will go take a look at it.
You know, 90% of the time when they go take a look at it, they've been told that you've made an error. 90% of the time they're going to go with what the VAR booth is telling them. In this case, Shaq Moore, he definitely has his hand out a little bit. And the question is, does it come off his knee and deflect into the hand? If it does, that's not a penalty kick. Doesn't look like it did to me, though.
Looks like it went right off his elbow inside the box.
His hand's a little extended. He's trying to draw it back.
This would be a tough break for an FC Dallas squad who
absolutely dominant.
Game's first 18 minutes,
yep.
Absolutely. Like you mentioned, Steve, have been using that press to efficiency. This was really the first time that San Diego had any sort of threat. Here's the decision.
After review, number 18 Dallas commit a handball offense. Final decision, penalty.
And it'll be a penalty kick for San Diego FC. Shaq Moore got a forearm on that ball in. Checked by VAR and approved. And now it's going to be up to Michael Collodi to keep San Diego off the board.
That's got to be really disheartening to the guys in the white shirts out there, FC Dallas, because you just said it. They were all over San Diego. That's really only the second time San Diego has had any kind of thrust into the Dallas defensive third. And it turns out like this.
And it looks like it's going to be Ani Valakari on for the penalty.
If that name sounds familiar to anybody listening, it's because he's the son of Simo Valakari, who had a couple of good seasons here in Dallas.
Former captain as well. It's got to be pretty cool for the younger Valakari to be sitting on this grass here today. Not only that, but having an opportunity to get this game's first goal across and in. Here's Michael Collodi. Valakari will move in from his right side. And he's able to score on the left bottom corner. Collodi dove to his left. And that's the game's first goal over to San Diego FC.
FC Dallas captain Ramiro immediately picks up the ball, jets out of goal and puts it out at the midfield stripe. He's telling, his body language is telling his team, let's go, we got this. It's a tough break for Shaq Moore because he's going to block the cross. He does have his hand out extended just a little bit. You could argue it's a natural position. Look, I've seen it when it's extended a little bit, called and not called.
On the scale of the 1 to 10 ticky-tack, how would you rate that?
I mean, look, it's as I said, I've seen it called and not called.
Yeah.
And he's very close to the player. That that distance doesn't apply as they make that decision.
And now about for FC Dallas is not letting this snowball, because like we've mentioned, they have played really well through this game's first 20 minutes. And just one unfortunate mistake. Can't even really call it a mistake because that kind of stuff just happens.
Yeah, and I don't want to beat him up too bad for it, but Burncast missing that tackle in the midfield when it looked like he could have been first to the ball. You got to win your individual battles.
And missing that challenge allowed them to create some form to that attack. Oh, and slipping right there in the middle of the field was Kappas. Now Kaike trying to get it through. A lot of bodies right there at the top of the box. And a body did hit the grass. It was Kappas, or excuse me, that was Musa. And now there's a whistle on the other side, and it's going to go over to FC San Diego. And a yellow card, the first booking we have here in this one.
Yeah, Christian Kappas knew he needed to stop the counterattack there, so I think he's okay taking the yellow card because San Diego was about to get out on the run. And, especially, that's just smart because at this time of the match, Dallas is probably a little dispirited. You can't let them get out on the run and score again. You might really unravel then. But, Nick, this looks exactly like the game that they played at Snapdragon last year where they were really good for 20 minutes. They make a mistake, go behind, and then it just completely fell apart from there. So I think this team has a better mentality, though. I don't think this team falls apart.
Well, falling down 1-0, you are not seeing the press give in at all. They continue to bring that press all the way forward, which is encouraging to see. Eric Quill not changing anything as far as game plan goes just yet. Over halfway here through the first half, approaching the 23rd minute. San Diego now getting it around the midfield stripe. They've gotten more comfortable here over the game's last 6 minutes or so. And a little chip shot, and no one was home. Some arms up around the midfield area. It's going to go to Michael Collodi. Now Collodi will slow things down and create some structure here. And he'll just go ahead and pick it up as Marcus Ingvartsen was starting to creep up on him.
Yeah, now it's San Diego that's able to apply the press, but Collodi just punts over it.
And Collodi trying to get it to Kamungo, and he's knocked down. It goes out of bounds, but it's going to stay with FC Dallas. Brought all the way back to Collodi. Collodi in the middle. There's Kappas. Kappas now to the right side to Moore. Moore bringing it through. And riding that line, trying to fight for it is Valiente. Valiente couldn't come up with it. San Diego control possession. Deep in their own side of the field. That press continuing. And they force a turnover. Nolan Norris able to come up with it right around midfield. Ibiaga up to Moore. Now Moore battling right there with Ani Valakari. Valakari's whistle. Valakari in his second season with San Diego FC. Played 89 minutes in that win against Toluca on Wednesday. And you wonder how the endurance will work for some of these San Diego guys coming off the midweek game. It was at home, so they didn't have to factor in the travel too much, but they will turn around and head to Mexico next Wednesday. It's probably why you see guys like Anders Dreyer and Jeppe Verskov not starting this one, sent in, and it was just a bit too far. Had a couple of guys in the area. That ball was just sent a little bit too far through the box, and it's going to go over to San Diego.
Dallas just really hasn't been able to identify a consistent free kick and corner kick taker this year. Christian Kappa's doing the job right now. He was just, as you said, overcooked that one just a little bit.
Johansson challenging it. Bats it out of bounds. Throw in here for San Diego. Deep on their own side, trying to get it across at least to midfield. Headed away. Both sides just trying to come up with possession. And here's San Diego. Got some runners out in front and stumbled right around midfield was Valakari. He's able to come back up with it. It looked dangerous there for a second, but Valakari's stumble allowed the FC Dallas back line to get into formation. There's a couple of times in that win against Toronto here on this home field where that back line was split right down the middle. But aside from that, they've been able to stand tall in these previous two contests. Whistle, and it's going to be a free kick and a decent position here for San Diego.
Yeah, this is going to come at about 30 yards, about 35 yards, way out on the left side, San Diego's left side. So Dallas will put their instruct their defenders to put their left foot on the line, penalty area line, and hold the line right there.
Sending it through, all the way through, and Collodi was able to grab it. That was David Vasquez. Maybe put a little bit too much air under it.
Or was Vasquez trying to pick out that back corner?
Maybe so.
Maybe he saw Collodi cheating a little bit toward the front. That's what it looked like to me.
Vasquez, maybe a little bit too much dip on his chip after 2 goals on Wednesday night against Toluca. Again, in his first start here in this MLS season.
Nice ball from Collodi to get the team going up the field.
Now in the midfield area and cut off. Batted right back to Dallas. Now here's Norris on this left side, sending it through with his left foot. Beautiful pass and headed through to Peter Musa. Now here's Johansson, and Johansson led Kaique a little bit too far out in front.
Yeah, I tried to combine with him at about 25 yards, little 1-2, and they, as you said, he just didn't quite connect with Kaique.
Oh, and cut off right at the top of the box. Nice little back heel, scoring opportunity, and saved by Cisniega. That was Valiente who had the look, and a beautiful back heel pass. I didn't see who had the back heel. Was it Kaike right there in the
middle?
Peter Musa.
And I think that one just sort of got caught up underneath Valiente's feet a little bit. It fell to his left foot. I think he would rather have it on his right, but at 18 yards, he just didn't quite get enough on the ball and turned into a pretty easy save for Cisniega.
Couple of shots on goal now for FC Dallas. Again, San Diego has not conceded a goal in MLS play so far this season here on match day 4. It was a 5-0 win against Montreal to start the season for San Diego. 2-0 against St. Louis City and 1-0 on the road against Sporting KC. And that was their 11th game in a row not losing on the road. Dating all the way back to May of last season. The last time they went on the road and dropped a contest, that was to Seattle 1-0 on May 28th. Now handled around midfield, San Diego able to come up with it. Have an opportunity here, and Johansson was trying to come across, and there was a lot of contact, and there might be a second penalty look here.
I don't think there's any mind about it. And listen, I'm not gonna. I hate to keep picking on Bernie Kamungo, but he misses a couple of attempted tackles in here. And these are just, tackles that you cannot miss.
Johansson coming in with that physicality. We saw that physicality on display in the opener. Got carded after consecutive fouls. But this one looks to be pretty clear.
And again, it
will be a card against Johansson.
Yeah, it's a lack of organization and not winning your battles over there, which sets San Diego up, flying down that left side one more time. Johansson coming across and it's a little bit of a clumsy challenge. He probably knows he needed to do a little bit better there.
It was certainly inside the box.
Yeah, Vasquez, it's absolutely inside the box. Vasquez does a good job, though, of getting to the ball first, and a little extra burst of speed right at the end sort of puts Johansson in a really bad spot. And speaking of bad spots, Michael Collodi needs to come through, or Dallas is going to be in a pretty bad spot here.
And it's going to be Marcus Ingvartsen. On this penalty take, it was Ani Valakari who had the first one less than 10 minutes ago. Back-to-back penalty opportunities for San Diego FC. Can Michael Collodi come up with a big save and keep the hope in this home crowd here in the first half? Here comes Ingvartsen with his left foot. Collodi chose the right side, but the ball hits the back of the net anyway, just above his right hand, and it's 2-0 to San Diego.
That penalty kick was hit at a really good height because you're right. Collodi guessed correctly, gets over there, but he just can't reach up high enough. If that ball's on the ground, I think Collodi might have it, but it's a well-taken penalty from Ingvartsen.
A couple of tough breaks here for FC Dallas. Now staring at the 32nd minute into a 2-0 hole. As Marcus Ingvartsen gets his third goal of the season. It's his fifth goal contribution on the year as well. The 30-year-old out of Denmark doubles the lead up for San Diego. Back in action now. FC Dallas desperately needs one here before the break.
Wingbacks have flip sides now. It's Johansson on the right, Bernie Kamungo on the left.
What do you see as the strategy for that?
Create more chances and probably, I don't think Bernie Kamungo is doing a great defensive job over there, and they're picking on that side, going through Alex Maitin over on the left.
Working around the midfield, San Diego able to control possession again, and they send it all the way through. And Michael Collodi will be able to hold it. Sending it through to Ibiaga.
Sometimes the game is cruel this way, you know. You can dominate, you can keep somebody pinned in their end, but if you don't put it in the net, they might.
Long pass by Collodi. Now FC Dallas with an opportunity here, pushing into the attacking third. Here's Valiente. Back heel to Johansson. Over to Shaq Moore. Johansson on the right side, right at the corner of the box. Now working Valiente over to Norris. Kamungo. And that one led by Kaike, and Kamungo able to force a corner here. Or is it going to be off of Kamungo? It will be off of Kamungo. That's going to be a goal kick for FC San Diego.
Yeah, he was definitely trying to tool it off the defender there, and it just ends up bouncing right back toward Kamungo and then right out of bounds.
Yeah, speaking of tough breaks, they've come in small portions and big portions here for Dallas in this first half. This press is right back on. It's Peter Musa forcing Cisniega now up toward the midfield area. And now some shape being able to form here for San Diego, working across the midfield line. He's there in the middle, Anibal Godoy. Started to find a little bit more rhythm over the game's last 8 minutes or so. It's allowed San Diego to control possession, at least on the back half of this first half. Now sent all the way through. Here's a good-looking opportunity, and just sent all the way over the top of the goal. That was David Vasquez who had the good look at it. Kamungo was trying to get back.
Yeah, Mighton was offside by about 2 steps there. I'm a little surprised that flag didn't go up a little bit earlier. That was so obvious. You know, they're not really supposed to keep that flag down, just as a rule. I mean, it's only if there's some question. I mean, when it looked pretty obvious to me. I wish they'd just go ahead and raise the flag.
Now sent all the way through by Collodi. That's a couple of good looks now for San Diego that have been clearly offside.
Well, they're trying to play over the press, and sometimes you just jump a little early.
Into the 36th minute now here in this first half. San Diego with 2 penalty conversions make this a 2-0 lead. Working around midfield now, San Diego able to control possession. Back to Cisniega. And that press not working on Cisniega just yet before Musa moves around and forces him to pass it out. Now here's Kaike trying to win a challenge there in the middle, and here's a whistle, and it's going to go over to FC Dallas. From about 30, 35 yards out.
Yeah, and this one's in the right center channel, so it's a little bit more opportunistic, although they take it quickly here.
Quickly, and here's Valiente sending it in. There was no one home. Ibiaga was in the area. Ibiaga was well upfield.
Well, I think he was trying to tell his teammates, if you're gonna call me up here, let me get up here. Otherwise, don't take it short.
Shaq Moore had a contest on the long kick from Cisniega, but it's going to stay with San Diego. Now working it all the way around. Now trying to get it through. And Collodi will able to control it at the top of the box and then back quickly to Johansson on the right side.
And that was aimed for Mighton again as he came in from the left side. He's a strong runner.
Alex Mighton, the native of West Hartford, Connecticut. Spent some time in the Premier League with Nottingham Forest. Now sending it through to Kamungo. Kamungo trying to go one-on-one inside the box, and Kamungo couldn't win it. That was Oswald Sura that was able to take it back. 20-year-old Denmark native.
Yeah, that ball was aimed out of the back for Kamungo, and it's getting to be a little bit of a theme. They've got to get more out of the wingbacks. What Dallas has created so far tonight has come through Musa, Valiente, Kaike, through the middle. It's not getting service from the wide areas.
It's out of play, but it would be a throw in here for San Diego, just on their half. Pace has slowed down just a bit over the course of the last 5 to 7 minutes, maybe a little bit of fatigue from that press.
Yeah, I think San Diego is just trying to control tempo now. I mean, they've got a lead. They're going to take their time with things.
Rightfully so. FC Dallas in a position. They're desperately trying to find some scoring chances. Here was 7 minutes to go in the first half, plus stoppage time. Now sent across the midfield stripe. and unable to handle it was Kaike.
A nice little combo work between Kappas and Vernon Kamungo on the left side to get out of the press, and then Kaike just a technical error as he tried to collect that ball at midfield.
A little bit too heavy of a touch from Kaike, and now here's Cisniega. It's what feels like the most time he's been able to hold the ball all match in the box there. And the press is still there as Kamungo goes off his chest and out of play. Throw in here for San Diego on our near side. Couldn't have asked for a much better night. Beautiful night here in Frisco. Oh, and a lot of physicality there. No whistle. Kappas hit the ground. He was delivered a shoulder by Marcus Ingvartsen, and now finally a whistle. And it's going to be a booking against San Diego. Looks like Pedro Soma laid a little bit too much physicality about 40 yards out.
Yeah, he got into Kaike pretty hard.
Kaike has to readjust after that one.
No, I just saw it, and that's a tough foul. I mean, he's right. I don't know what he's protesting for because he lunges in. He gets right on top of Kaike's foot. I mean, if he gets up just 2 inches higher, they're gonna be sending him to the VAR booth.
Here's Kappas to send it in with his left foot. It's a good ball in the middle there, and an opportunity, and it's corralled by Cisniega. Looked like that was Nolan Norris who got a foot on it.
Yeah, it was.
Now a couple of players down, one from each side.
Yeah, well, for Dallas, it's Peter Musa. Looks like he's going to get up.
It was a beautiful ball in by Christian Kappas.
Indeed.
Norris had an opportunity, just couldn't get enough foot on it. Rolls right into Cisniega.
Yeah, Ian Pilcher was the other player down.
Ian Pilcher, this is his first start of the MLS season. Started 13 games a year ago.
Yeah, Mikey Veras, former FC Dallas assistant, making 6 changes to the lineup that he's stuck with pretty consistently.
Now this press starting to work. Heavily upfield and stolen inside the box. Here's Kaike with an opportunity from Musa. Musa able to finish. Beautiful work there from Peter Musa. Saved on the first chance, knocked right back to him. And he kicks it out of the air into the bottom right corner. And FC Dallas with a much needed morale boost here at the end of the first half.
Well, Peter Musa needed 2 bites off the apple to put it in, but it doesn't matter. One big swing of the right leg on the turn. You know, it's Kaike that steals the ball originally. He slips the ball into Musa. Musa tries a little toe poke. That one gets knocked away by Cisniega, but pops up, and at about 4 yards, there's Peter Musa spinning, whirling, knocking the ball home for his 3rd goal this year.
That is the first goal that San Diego has allowed here in the MLS season. And a lot of life injected back into this home crowd. They stuck with the press despite going down 2-0. It works to perfection finally. And Peter Musa able to finish after a couple of tries.
I'll just tell you, the press was never the problem, though. It was, not winning the battles.
For sure, yeah.
And then just getting unlucky, frankly.
Heading into the 43rd minute. Dallas able to win it back from San Diego, and the San Diego attacking third and giving right back Kamungo. And San Diego gave it right back to Dallas.
Yeah, Ramiro stepped into the passing lane and took that one back for his team.
Here's Ibiaga working in the middle to the left side on the back line to Nolan Norris. Norris trying to get it through, but it's going to be cut off. That was Godoy who had it right there, and right in front of it, Eric Quill was trying to talk to side official here, Brooke Mayo, to say that ball was out. It's going to stay in play with San Diego. Headed back and forth. San Diego pushing it all the way back into the FC Dallas attacking third now. This has been a dangerous area. FC Dallas is able to score a goal off the press in this area just moments ago, and now headed up and right back to FC Dallas, and consecutive turnovers just back and forth between these two sides right now.
You know, one team's stubborn in the press, the other team is stubborn about wanting to beat the press, and so you get a little bit of that choppiness, huh?
San Diego able to get it across the midfield stripe. Here's Kamungo. It's been a rough first half for Kamungo, and he gives it away right on cue.
Oof.
And a little bit of a heavy touch there from San Diego as they had an opportunity to create potentially a chance, but Shaq Moore was right there to kick it back.
And Bernie Kamungo's not having a good time out there. Valiente almost with an interception. He's covering a lot of ground right now.
Working right around the middle third. San Diego able to control possession. Ka'ike trying to push up. We'll kick it all the way back to Cisniega. The 30-year-old will send it all the way through. And trying to chase it all the way down and could not was Alex Mighton. That'll be a goal kick for FC Dallas. We'll see how much stoppage time we'll have here at the end of the first half. Approaching 10 seconds to go. Here's Kappas. Up to Ka'ike. Ka'ike over to Kamungo. It's going to be 7 minutes here at the end of the first half. Ka'ike working in the middle, over to Kamungo. Right at the corner of the box. Kamungo dribbling around. Here's Ka'ike back over to Kamungo, and he led him just a bit too far. There were a couple of San Diego defenders in the area, but maybe one that Kamungo and Ka'ike want back.
Better moment there for Bernie Kamungo as he got the ball just a couple of feet outside of the corner of the penalty area on the left side. He attacked the back line aggressively, and that's what Eric Quill wants to see from Bernie Kamungo. And the little combination, excuse me, Nick, didn't work out too well, but that kind of aggressiveness is what Dallas needs right now.
And it's a young back line for San Diego. Oswald Sura, 20 years old. Manu Dua, 20 years old. Luca Bombino, 19 years old.
Yeah,
they can't even celebrate with a drink if they have a good night.
They're going to lose Manu Dua soon enough. He's so good. He's so young.
The native of Ghana, the former #1 overall pick in 2025.
Yeah, they've got
played his college ball at UC Santa Barbara.
Yeah, they've got the deal with the right to dream out of that country. Producing a lot of good players through the years.
Now into the box for San Diego and kicked away by Ibeaga. Another right to dream player that they have on their roster. He's on the bench today is Brian Zamble, originally from the Ivory Coast. In his first season after spending time at the Right to Dream Academy in Ghana. Has 10 minutes and 1 goal so far this season. Made his team debut on February 21st. Now working right around the corner of the box. Shaq Moore able to get it away.
Yeah, Kappas with a loose pass there, but Shaq Moore rescued it.
Now Kappas with a little bit of room in front of him. Kappas out in front, running, push from behind. They'll stay on play. Now sent in. Here's Ka'ike. Ka'ike had a ball there from
Valiente.
Valiente led it a bit too far. Hauled in by Cisniega. Valiente led that one a little too far, but overall not a bad first half for Valiente.
No, like I said, he's created a couple of half chances. He's covering a lot of ground. Interception again.
There's an opportunity. Here in stoppage time, Dallas is able to find those timely turnovers. Haven't been able to make anything of it just yet. Nolan Norris headed over to Ibeaga. Ibeaga to Shaq Moore on the right side, working inside now to Valiente. Valiente a little toe curve to Ka'ike, and then Ka'ike trying to get it to Shaq Moore, and Moore challenged there on that back line of San Diego, and it's going to be a goal kick. Last off Moore. 3 minutes of stoppage time. We're going to go 7 here at the end of the first half. San Diego holding on to a 2-1 lead. Sent in, cross opportunity for San Diego, but easily corralled by Colodi. Now FC Dallas with an opportunity to get out in front with numbers, but they are slowing it up. Christian Kappas taking his time with it. And it allows the San Diego defense to get back in shape.
I don't understand that. As you're right, they had 4 San Diego players back behind the ball, or on the wrong side of the ball.
I think Colodi saw it, not necessarily Kappas.
I agree.
Johansson, DeMoore, over to Ibiaga. Playing in the middle of that back line tonight. Here's Nolan Norris in his first start. Nice cross to the midfield. Here's Musa, and there's a whistle.
Nice ball. About a 35-yard ball from Nolan Norris right into Petar Musa. Musa just needs to... I'm not sure Musa expected Norris to hit that ball, so he's on the wrong side of the defender back there.
Maybe getting used to his new teammate. Making his first start here, and the press working all the way up again into the FC Dallas box. Now sent all the way through across midfield, and a little bit too much contact. It's going to go over to FC Dallas. Nolan Norris hit the grass.
Interesting, Nick, a minute ago, Manudua, who you've heard me mention a couple of times, saw everybody covered up by the white shirts, and he said, you know what, I'll just try something different, and he just took the ball on the dribble from his own goal area all the way into almost to the midfield stripe.
Certainly has the talent to do so, and it looked like trying to find Johansson, but Johansson was offside. He just stuck with it. And it comes all the way through to Cisniega. 5 minutes through stoppage time. Now working on this Dallas half is San Diego, now headed through by Norris all the way into the box. And out of play, it'll be a goal kick.
It's again Valiente doing the harassing. I mean, he's doing a great job of leading the press right now.
And a pretty good first half from Nolan Norris, considering he hasn't had a lot of playing time recently. He's had a few pretty balls.
You're right, all the trouble, the 2 goals for San Diego have come down the left side. That's not his side.
That press working in the box once again. Through Norris trying to challenge and Vartson, and Norris able to come up with it. Here's Musa with an opportunity at the top of the box, trying to create some room. Musa with a little chip over to Kaique. Kaique finished, the flag is up. It'll be offside. Kaique was able to find the back of the net, but he was too far out in front of that back line. The home crowd thought they had an equalizer, but not just yet.
You just singing the praises of Nolan Norris. He created all that with a good challenge in midfield. And then Petar Musa, what a nice little chipped pass, and referee's going to hold play for just a second, make sure that that gets checked by VAR, and that check looks like it's complete. Nice little dipping ball though,
very
for Petar Musa, and a nice finish from KK. Just was a step in too early.
Approaching 7 minutes now. Ball hanging around right around midfield, and now a foul against San Diego as Musa hits the grass. And that'll be the end of the first half here at Toyota Stadium. A choppy first half, but San Diego will head to the break with a 2-1 lead off 2 penalty makes from Ani Valakari and Marcus Ingvartsen. But Petar Musa able to finish in the 41st minute to cut the lead in half, and Eric Quill's group able to head to the locker room with a little bit of momentum at least going into this final 45.
Yeah, Petar Musa's 3rd goal this year turned what looked like kind of a disastrous first half into just merely a bad first half, but one that they can come back from, only a goal down, now going toward the supporters' end.
And don't go anywhere just yet. We got the halftime show coming up. You're listening to FC Dallas Soccer on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, The future of medicine sparks here.
It's a moment when I show up, God, I'm saying wow.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa, rest in one of our vast hotel towers, and catch the biggest names in music and comedy at the spectacular Lucas Oil Live, all just 1 hour north of DFW. So come live in the wow at the world of WinStar.
God, I'm saying wow.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
With the 2026 Toyota Tacoma's all-terrain capability and advanced tech, you can do whatever you want.
Whatever we want?
Yep,
whatever we want! Like waking up in a tent with 0 cell service on purpose. Or driving down a rocky trail that was never actually a road. Or going out and doing donuts before we've had breakfast.
Or catching sunrise by the lake. And maybe even a fish if we're lucky.
The 2026 Toyota Tacoma, for every kind of adventure. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
After 45 plus here at Toyota Stadium, it's San Diego FC 2, FC Dallas 1 after a somewhat wild first half of action here in Frisco today in MLS play. Hello everybody, it is the FC Dallas Halftime Show brought to you tonight by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota. Let's go places. Also brought to you by Advocare, building champions together. I'm your host, Sam Hale. I'll be joined in just a moment by our halftime home crew with Steve Davis and Garrett Meltzer. We start first with your halftime highlights. It didn't start highlight-worthy for Dallas as a pair of handballs allowed Oni Valakarin in the 21st minute and then Marcus Varkson in the 31st minute to get a 2-0 lead on Dallas. But then 10 minutes later, as we're doing this in intervals of 10, the Moose got on the board.
Now this press starting to work. Heavily upfield and stolen inside the box. Here's Kaike with an opportunity from Musa. Musa able to finish. Beautiful work there from Petter Musa. Saved on the first chance, knocked right back to him. And he kicks it out of the air into the bottom right corner. And FC Dallas with a much needed morale boost here at the end of the first half.
Third goal of the season for Petter Musa made it 2-1 San Diego, and that's where we sit at halftime. Let's bring you tonight's halftime stats brought to you by UMB Bank. Possession goes the way of the Chrome and Azul, 61-39. 7 shots for Dallas, 5 of those on target. 2 shots for San Diego, 2 of those on target. Dallas has 2 corners, San Diego none. You've had 4 saves tonight from Pablo Cisniega, none officially from Michael Colodi. You've got 2 yellow cards to 1, 7 fouls to 6. Dallas has the advantage in yellow cards. San Diego has committed more fouls. Now we bring in our halftime squad, Steve Davis and Garrett Meltzer. And Garrett, it kind of felt like, and Steve mentioned this earlier, we were watching the first San Diego game. Dallas plays well for 20 minutes, and then the dam breaks and they allow a couple goals.
Yeah, a little bit of PTSD there from about a year ago in that game in San Diego. I think Dallas must feel very unfortunate to be down a half right now. They had San Diego down to just 2 shots, and those were both the penalties, of course. And so 0 expected goals from open play for San Diego. And I thought Dallas's press, for the most part, was really good. They forced a few different turnovers in San Diego's actual box, and early on, it just never fell quite right for Dallas to get possession to force any real goal-scoring chances until, of course, Dallas's goal, where Kaike does a fantastic job to win the ball pretty much inside the 6-yard box of San Diego and then square it to Petter Musa, and then Petter Musa does what he does. But I think Dallas is going to be quite angry about how they conceded those 2 penalties because, that's just not the way. We know how dangerous San Diego can be in transition and whatnot, but I don't think Dallas expected to concede 2 penalties in the first half.
No, Steve, I don't think they normally would try to concede 2 penalties in 2 games, and now they've done it in about 45 minutes.
Yeah, I think the first one was a little bit unlucky as Shaq Moore's trying to block a crossover on the left side. He's got his arm extended out a little bit, but, is that I don't know if you could say it's maybe not a natural position, but it doesn't look like an unnatural position. Somewhere it's a tweener. I said in the broadcast, I've seen those called. I've seen them not called. I think Dallas got a little bit unfortunate there. And then the next one was just a little clumsy by Herman Johansson coming across, trying to make the challenge. It was a last gasp challenge. But, I'll say again, there were a couple of duels in the midfield that Dallas lost. It set San Diego off and running down that left side. You've got to win. You've got to win those as a defender. You have to make it hard. You can't. And if you lose it, by the way, you got to get on your horse and chase it down.
And that kind of leads to one of the big problems that we had in that half, Steve, is that Bernie Kamungo and Harmony Johansson flipped sides again to start. That put Bernie on that right side for Dallas going against Alex Mighton and company. And it just wasn't working out to the point that after the second penalty, they flipped it back, and that's when we saw Dallas get their first goal.
Yeah, and I'm not sure whether that was because, again, Kamungo had gotten beaten a couple of times on that side, or neither wingback was really effective. Maybe it was just, okay, now we're 2 goals down. It's not really working. We're not getting a lot of production out of the wide areas. Let's flip them and see if they can make something happen.
And, they did make something happen, Garrett, because it was a very impressive goal, and it's something we've seen, a couple things. One, Peter Musa being very persistent in the box even when he doesn't get the first chance. And two, we're seeing Kaike and Kappas kind of interchange a little bit in that second 10 spot, and we've seen it really pay off, first with the assist on the Musa goal and then on the disallowed goal right near the end of the half.
Well, yeah, it's one of the things I noticed earliest on was that Kaike was playing as advanced as he ever has for this team. And I believe that's because Eric Quill just knows that his ability to press is going to be the highest of any FC Dallas midfielders. So get him playing in that advanced spot, because this isn't a very aggressive press. Dallas is essentially starting in San Diego's box almost every possession and really trying to force those errors really, really high up the field, which they did a number of times. And, of course, on the goal, it finally worked out. But it's a great work from Kaike to be persistent, win that ball, and then, do what you do best. And that's find the Croatian in the box, and he'll do the rest for you.
And you can press that high, Garrett, when you have Kaike demonstrating that kind of work rate. But you've also got Valiente. I thought he was really industrious out there in pressing at the right times. And, we'll say it again. I mean, for 15 minutes, San Diego didn't get all 11 players into the Dallas defensive half. So it was working, and I think it's a sound strategy. You can't give up penalty kicks.
And, one of our big talking points, Noah Osazi Urquidy tonight, dealing with a little bit of a groin knock, so he's out of the 20. That brought Nolan Norris in, and, you see 2 goals on the board, and you're like, oh, God, the defense is falling without Osazi. But, Steve, that's not been the case, and his replacement, Nolan Norris, has been up to the challenge through 45+.
Yeah, the issue, though, is it's not any of the guys in there. I think they're doing fine. It's that you don't have Osazi or Guide to go clean up any messes. I sort of feel like pretty confident saying maybe one of those, as they got leaky on the left side, maybe Osazi can get out there and do something to plug the leak. We know that's what he's really good at.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And Garrett, obviously we talked a lot about the offense that Nolan could bring, and we haven't seen him directly lead to a goal just yet, but we've seen that big looping pass from left to right, that cross ball that just, nothing against Shaq or anybody else that plays that position, but as a left footer, Nolan can snap that off, and he does it really well.
Yeah, it's a lot to ask for any player to hit a 60-yard raking ball like that with a weaker foot. So having the natural lefty and Nolan Norris there allows him to hit that pass. And we know his long passing might be his actual best trait in all of soccer. He's fantastic at that. So I think once Johansson moving back out to that right side, that's going to work a little bit more often. He kind of runs behind the back line more often, more naturally than Bernard Kamungo does. So I think if Johansson stays on that right side for the second half, I think we'll see that pass more often, and there's a good chance that can be kind of where you can hurt San Diego if you get possession and look to hit really quick.
I kind of hope he stays on the right side, because honestly, Garrett, I don't remember any kind of an effective cross at all in this half. A couple maybe off of dead balls, but that's not what I'm talking about. So we know that Johansson, once he finds a little bit of space out there, he likes to hit the early cross, and I think Dallas could use that right now.
So let's talk about 2 big factors looming for the halftime. First, we'll start with the FC Dallas side of things. They're chasing a goal here, but we've already seen that their strategy is working largely. The goals being conceded are largely not because of the game plan, just because of individual mistakes. Garrett, do you stick with this? And if so, how do you think Eric Quill wants to make changes, if at all, so far?
I think you absolutely have to stick with it. The press was working for the most part. And look, we know how good San Diego is playing out of those tight areas. And they did it a few times here and there. And then, of course, the 2 times they did it, they forced penalties. That's not going to happen every single time, right? No. That's kind of a low percentage thing that happened to Dallas. So I think you keep doing what you're doing. I do wonder, can you press that high with those 3 with the 3 forwards for 90 minutes? So you wonder, does Eric Quill look to make a change? I can see Ron Benjamin actually being a great player to bring in for that. We know he's got a fantastic engine. He's got a bite in the tackle, so I can see him replacing Kaike maybe, because Kaike is doing so much running. Same with Valiente. I can actually see Benjamin, who's more of a box-to-box player coming in at one of those more advanced midfield spots just to keep up the press.
Or Logan Farrington. I mean, he's going to get out there and create some chaos. Sam Sarver, he's a one-man chaos army. So either one of those guys, I think, would play right into the tactics that Eric Will has aligned tonight.
Meanwhile, on the other side, Steve, I'm going to ask you to put on your Mikey Varas hat for a minute. You're leading 2-1. You did concede a goal late in the first half, but you are leading. You do have Yevgeny Verkov and Andres Dreyer on the bench. Are you looking to deploy them, or are you trying to ride this out on a 2-1 lead, or maybe even try to get a third goal early?
Yeah, no, it's all about game state, Sam. If Dallas gets a goal, I think what Veras might do is bring those guys in, bring the big guns in for the last 30 minutes. If Dallas gets another goal behind, or if the score stays 2-1, maybe you just try to ride it out a little bit more. So maybe that's leaning toward more defensive subs.
Well, let's hope that FC Dallas gives Mikey Varas something to think about considerably in the second half, as we're about to take a break here from the halftime show. When we come back, Nick and Steve will get you ready for the second half of action at San Diego FC 2, FC Dallas 1 here in Frisco tonight. You're listening to FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
With the 2026 Toyota Tacoma's all-terrain capability and advanced tech, you can do whatever you want.
Whatever we want?
Yep,
whatever we want. Like waking up in a tent with zero cell service on purpose.
Or driving down a rocky trail that was never actually a road.
Or going out and doing donuts before we've had breakfast.
Or catching sunrise by the lake, and maybe even a fish if we're lucky.
The 2026 Toyota Tacoma, for every kind of adventure. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See toyota.com for details.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern. The future of medicine sparks here.
It's a moment when I show up, God, I'm saying wow.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games, plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa, rest in one of our vast hotel towers, and catch the biggest names in music and comedy at the spectacular Lucas Oil Live, all just 1 hour north of DFW. So come live in the wow at the world of WinStar.
God, I'm saying wow.
Welcome back into Toyota Stadium, approaching 60 seconds to go before the start of the second half between FC Dallas and San Diego FC. Alongside Steve Davis, I am Nick Harris. And Steve, in that first half, a couple of penalty opportunities for San Diego that were converted just on some unfortunate happenings for FC Dallas. But Dallas able to finally get on the board with a 41st-minute goal from Peter Musa.
Yeah, and good thing that they did, because I think you noticed, I noticed it really brought the crowd back into the game. It's kind of a bummer to see your team at home. A good night, a beautiful night like this, go down 2 goals, so that brought the crowd back into it.
And here getting ready to start the second half, and some momentum that they were able to take into that halftime break. We saw the upfield press really work to their advantage, even though they did give up the 2 goals. It wasn't by nature of that. And it actually led to the Peter Musa goal-scoring opportunity, and we're going to have a substitution here to start off this first half.
2 of them.
Couple of them.
I'm looking to try to figure out where these are right now.
And if I could take that, I think Pedro Soma and Ian Pilcher.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a formation change here for San Diego.
Soma and Pilcher will check out. And we'll try to get a eye on who is coming in for those 2 for San Diego FC. And San Diego will get us started here in this second half.
Well, bad news for Dallas. Yepes Verskov is in. And I believe the other substitution might be Oscar Verheven.
Yepes Verskov, typically the captain of this San Diego FC squad, 33-year-old from Copenhagen. Spent 15 years in Denmark before coming to Southern California. He's in his 2nd season. Last year, started 38 games for this squad. And on a young team, he is the veteran leader. He's brought a lot of his Danish friends with him, whether it be a Marcus Ingvartsen, Oswald Sura. We are off and rolling here in the second half as Sverskov able to get his first touch on it, and maybe a little bit too heavy of a touch. He was waiting to put a boot into that one.
Well, I said several times that it was Sverskov that they were missing as they tried to work their way out of the press, and we'll see if that sort of settles them down in terms of getting the ball out of the back for San Diego. So not good for Dallas there.
And of the games he played last season, he only missed 40 minutes of game time. He has been a heavy presence for the San Diego FC squad, so not seeing him start this game is certainly an oddity. But with this Champions Cup schedule that they're working with, Toluca midweek, both last week and next week, definitely want to save for those type of competitions, especially here early in the MLS season. San Diego working on the far side, and they're attacking third and into a couple of bodies. Nolan Norris able to come up with it, send it over to Collodi, and Collodi boots it high up in the air as Musa trying to fight for it, and there was some contact. Looks like it's going to go against Musa.
Going to go for Musa. Or the foul was against Musa.
Looks like it was against Musa. For Musa, against Musa.
Free kick, Dallas.
Free kick. I had my brain switch swapped.
Yeah.
That's what it was. We're in the second half here. Dallas going from our left to right. Johansson, now that will go against Johansson over here. A little bit too much contact.
Well, he doesn't think so, to further confuse matters.
It was a good ball right around the corner of the 18-yard box. Johansson, we've seen that physicality a few times here early in the season. Maybe a little bit of adjustment coming from playing in Sweden in his first season in MLS.
Trying to unleash Mighton down that left side again. This time Shaq Moore had the angle, and Mighton fouls him.
Now Cisniega in to send it deep.
Lodi cool under pressure.
Dallas trying to come up with it, unable to do so. Back to San Diego. And now Valiente able to win it. Trying to get it through the middle of the field. Musa trying to run it down. And it'll go to that back line for San Diego.
Yeah, Mono Duo with the play he had to make there.
We've talked about this young back line. Jeppe Sverskov coming in will maybe be able to.
And there it is, right there. He just got the ball at the top of his own penalty area under pressure, was able to turn, connect the first pass, and just like that, San Diego's broken the press.
Already some rhythm that Sverskov is able to bring San Diego here in just 3 minutes of play.
Sverskov means so much to the team. He's out there directing traffic right now, connecting balls.
Working in the middle third here is, that was Sura that was able to send it over to the far side. Back to Sura. Oswald Sura making his first start. He made his team debut against Toluca on Wednesday. Played just 1 minute in that contest. Now here's Mighton trying to run it down before he gets out of the corner. He's able to track it down. Here in the corner with him, FC Dallas defender. A little chip shot back over to Mighton. Mighton, and it's deflected by Johansson up into the air. Collodi tried to punch it away, couldn't quite do so. There was a San Diego FC player in the area, but it's able to get cleared out and sent all the way back to Cisniega. Over to the far side now.
Now something just happened. Eric Will absolutely doesn't want to happen. Peter Musa and Valiente were leading the press, but nobody was pressing behind them.
Allowed for a little bit of freedom there in the midfield area. Korskov. Over to Valakari. Valakari, a little bit of room. Godoy. Now working all the way back. This press is starting to push San Diego now. Valiente trying to track it down. Still staying with San Diego. Now San Diego with an opportunity. A few runners out in front. Avani Valakari. Valakari with a little bit of room. Kicked over to the right side. A lot of freedom here. An opportunity potentially here for San Diego. Now sent in the middle and headed out by Nolan Norris. Still in the box, now outside of it. Here's Mighton. Mighton able to get around Valiente. Mighton sending it in the middle, and it's deflected into the goal, and that's going to be a goal score for San Diego FC.
Yeah, it's an own goal. It's going to go off Nolan Norris. We'll see if the scorekeepers judge that was going in, and if they do, then they might give San Diego the goal, but I think it's going to go down as an own goal for young Nolan Norris.
Looked like it was Valakari that got the last boot on it before it went off of Norris and into the back of the net. Mighton sent it in, and it was Valakari.
And the marking is not good because Valakari is wide open right at the top of the goal area. I'm not sure who was supposed to pick him up there. Looks like he's between Ramiro and Herman Johansson. So Dallas with a 2-goal hill to climb now.
That was tough. It looked like Colodi may have been able to get a paw on it.
Now all that gets going because Ramiro got caught defending out a little high. I like Ramiro better when he just stays connected to the back line, doesn't get too adventurous, but he got caught out high that time. And you spotted Valakari off on the run, starting all of that, and Ramiro just doesn't have the foot speed to recover once he gets beat further up the field.
Now working in the middle third. Dallas trying to hold on to it. Valiente over to Norris. Norris with a nice boot inside to Kamungo. Can Kamungo get there? He kicks it up. Little chip shot. And
penalty
a defense.
It's a penalty
and
kick.
It's going to be a penalty kick as coming in was Cisniega. He made too much contact with Kamungo right around the corner of the box.
Well, break for Dallas here, but Dallas is lobbying, trying to say that should be a red card foul. I'm not sure about that, but I think there might be some question about whether Kamungo was offside on the original ball, so they'll be taking a look at that.
I thought he may have been. It was close.
It's definitely a foul on Bruno Kamungo as he tries to chip Cisniega at the corner of the penalty area. Cisniega takes him out, but they'll be looking to see if Kamungo was offside, which would nullify that. So what Dallas wants is they're trying to say that that should have been denial of a goal-scoring opportunity, but they're recovering defenders there.
It's going to be a penalty take, nothing to look at for this officiating crew. If you wanted action here in Frisco, you got it tonight. Dallas staring at its second 2-goal deficit, an opportunity to bring it to 1 for the second time as well, as Petar Musa will line up with a shot to cut the deficit in half. Already with 1 goal here on the home grass tonight. 3 on the season. Can he make it a 4th? Pablo Cisniega chooses wrong, and Petar Musa knocks it into the back of the net. 3-2. Petar Musa with a healthy strike, and this lead is now cut to 1.
Brave, brave, brave from Petar Musa, because that penalty kick hits the roof of the net. He hit it high, he hit it hard, just slightly off to the goalkeeper's right. When you hit it that hard, it doesn't even matter sometimes which way the goalkeeper guesses. 3-2.
That is the 4th goal of the season for the Croatian native. And with these 2 goals, he now moves into sole possession of 3rd place in club history in goals scored. And that is his 40th goal as well here in MLS play. And FC Dallas doing just enough to keep this home crowd in it. And if you are FC Dallas and you're looking at the totality of this game and just a couple of unfortunate errors that led to those penalty opportunities for San Diego FC in that first half, if you're looking at the totality of the 55 minutes, you actually have to feel good despite giving up 3 goals so far.
Yeah, it's tough, though. On the one hand, I think you're absolutely right, Nick. On the other hand, you know, you're probably feeling a little sorry for yourself because you know that you had much better the opportunities in the first half and somehow give up 2 goals at home.
Johansson here with a throw-in. A whistle as San Diego FC player hit the grass. That was Anibal Godoy.
One thing to remind everybody, as Dallas continues to try to press and be physical in the midfield, is Kappas and Johansson are carrying those yellow cards.
That is an important note as you start to see the substitutions warming up behind the back goal here in the supporters' corner. Cisniega sending it through, looking for Alex Mighton, and Mighton couldn't corral it. It'll be a Johansson throw-in.
I see Dallas on the press now paying more attention to Sverskov. I think that's the right thing to do. Make somebody else beat you, because right now he'll find the space, he'll make the turn, he'll connect the pass. So make somebody else do it.
Sent all the way back to Collodi. Sent across the midfield stripe. Kaique trying to track it down. Kaique may have had a look at it. Now he's going to try and chase down Cisniega before Cisniega just picks it up. And that's a bad turnover there and an untimely spot for San Diego. Johansson sent it into Musa, and there was a shot there from about 25 yards out from Joaquin Valiente. Or excuse me, that was not Valiente, that was Ramiro.
Yeah, they're about the same height, the same hair. More bad news for Dallas here.
And now coming on to the pitch, Anders Dreyer. You mentioned it in the pregame, Steve. MVP finalist from a year ago. He has 2 career goals versus Dallas. And already 2 goals on the season. His scoring output last season, 19 goals, 3rd in the MLS, 19 assists, 1st in MLS. If you're looking back just to last Wednesday, he had a goal against Toluca. Everywhere you look, Anders Dreyer is a scoring threat.
And their starting left winger, Amal Pellegrino, just came in as well.
Pellegrino, the Norway native.
I'll tell you what, those are offensive-minded substitutions. I mean, credit to Mikey Varas. He's going for it here because he's got a 3-2 lead, and he's not sitting on it. He's putting the attackers in.
You wonder if Eric Quill maybe tries to do that with Logan Farrington at some point here in this second half.
I would think it wouldn't be too long.
There's a throw in there by Kamungo. Goes over to San Diego. Now San Diego trying to get some runners out in front. And here's the first touch for Pellegrino. Pellegrino, little back heel to his teammate, Bombino. Bombino sending it into the middle. And you've talked about it a bit since Jeppe Sverskov has come in the game. It feels like San Diego has had a little bit more rhythm in that middle portion of the field.
Oh, no doubt about it. They're not spending long periods just trying to work the ball out of their own penalty area.
Sverskov had a nice little find inside to Dreyer, but able to boot it away was Kaique. That could have been dangerous. Here's Kamungo. Now trying to find Johansson. Johansson with a little bit of room. Now coming around to the near side of the box. Really good recovery there on that back line from San Diego. It looked like Johansson had a couple of steps out in front. But that was Bombino that was able to get Back in good position. Here's Musa. Good save there from Cisniega. Musa had a good look at it. But it was a narrow pathway to find the back of the net. And a good job by Cisniega to hold firm.
All of that started when it was Bernie Kamungo who had a really great line-breaking pass from the left side all the way over to the right into Herman Johansson. Johansson stretched out for it, but he didn't get good connection on the ball, and it took his path away from goal over to widening out on the right side and just lost the opportunity momentarily.
Musa was hunting down that hat trick. Staying on this half rather, it'll stay with San Diego.
There's a big blast from about the corner of the goal area from Pedro Musa. Just went right at Cisniega. Throwing his hands up to protect himself as much as he's protecting the goal.
Shaq Moore heads one up into the air, but it's going to stay with San Diego possession-wise. A lot of room in the middle of the field now here for Valakari. Valakari trying to send one all the way through. He was looking for Pellegrino, who was cutting inside, but it's cut off by Nolan Norris. Or excuse me, that was Johansson. That was Johansson. Kamungo, Kaike, a little back kick. Anytime you get a chance for a little back heel, even if it just goes about 2 yards, you got to do it. Here's Johansson working across the midfield stripe. He's looking for Musa. Musa was trying to win it. Oh, it looked like there was a handball by somebody. It looked like a hand got on it. Couldn't tell if it was a San Diego or Dallas player. The head official, Ricardo Montero, was right in front of it. No whistle. It's going to stay with FC Dallas on this side. Musa headed back to Ramiro. Ramiro, Valiente, back to Ramiro. Maybe need to spread the bodies out here just a bit. Here's Kaike working in the middle of the field. Here's Musa. He was trying to find a cross inside to Musa, but it was cut off in the middle. Good job by that young San Diego center back. Now here's San Diego trying to get out in transition. Working across midfield on the far side.
Well,
Gotta wonder.
63rd minute. Valiente is looking a little tired to me. I think a couple of players for FC Dallas starting to drag a little bit.
Valiente through 3 games has totaled 101 minutes. Already well over half of that into the 63rd. That's going to be a whistle against FC Dallas. This is a little bit of a precarious spot if you're looking at it from a Dallas standpoint.
Yeah, it's Frisco that got fouled. Free kick's going to come from the, if you extended the right sideline of the penalty area out about 10 yards, it's going to come right there. Place where the left footer can really whip it in toward that back post in a dangerous way.
Like Pellegrino will be the man to take it. It's Pellegrino alongside Ani Valakari, but it'll be Pellegrino from roughly 30 yards out. Pellegrino, a little bit too much mustard on it, and it goes all the way out for a goal kick.
Well, I think just like the free kick in the first half, I think Pellegrino was trying to pick out that back corner. He hit it more as a rope than as a ball that he expected somebody to get ahead on.
At least judging from the corner flags, it looks like the wind is affecting what would be the San Diego attacking side a bit more than the FC Dallas attacking side at this point in the night. The stadium with its intricate design on that half of the stadium, maybe creating a bit of a whirl effect on that side. Collodi with a dangerous pass there, but FC Dallas able to control it.
Yeah, Collodi almost got himself in trouble.
Yeah, Ibiaga gave Collodi a thumbs up back saying, I got you, man. Collodi maybe owes him a bit of his per diem on the next road trip. It's over to San Diego now on their back line. Trying to find a cross there was Frisco, but he sent it out of bounds. It'll be a throw in for Bernie Kamungo right around the midfield stripe.
Yeah, he was just trying to go around the corner there and didn't hit it very well. His passing numbers, I think he's around 94%, one of the highest in Major League Soccer.
Throw in for Kamungo. Musa couldn't control it. It's a sentence not heard too often. Now a nice challenge there from Kaique. And Kaique wins it. It's going to be a throw in for Kaique on that side. It's on the far side. He'll hand it off to Ramiro. Now Kamungo winning it, riding that far sideline.
At that time, Bernie Kamungo lost the battle for the ball, but he did what I was hoping he would do in the first half, which was just get after it immediately, and he won it right back. So nice moment there.
Beautiful long pass there from Colodi, right into the lap. An FC Dallas attacking player, but it goes over to San Diego nevertheless.
Logan Farrington getting kitted up on the sideline.
Now Valakari sending one in, and Colodi able to easily corral it. Ani Valakari has been active in this one.
He's a really good technical player. He's played at striker for them. He can play at central midfield. He can play on the outside of midfield. Really versatile young man.
26-year-old from Finland. His second season with San Diego after playing in Sweden. And here's an opportunity. Petter Musa getting out in front, searching down that hat trick, trying to chip it over Cisniega. Good job by Cisniega to close that gap.
Yeah, flag was up. Either way, Petter Musa sort of had the ball on his left foot, couldn't get it back on his right foot, and ended up shooting at a really tough angle. Knocked away by Cisniega.
And Brooke Mayo here on the near sideline. She has been active throwing that flag up. And you mentioned it, Steve. Here is Logan Farrington checking into the game. Christian Kappas will come out. And now in for his fourth appearance in 4 games. He has a goal and an assist on the year. The former number 3 overall pick, Logan Farrington. The Wisconsin native, maybe looking to bring a little bit more offensive pizzazz here to FC Dallas in the final 20-plus minutes.
Well, they'll push Logan Farrington a little further up the field, and that's going to create a little bit more room for what San Diego just did.
Oh, and now here's Dreyer out in front, but he was way too far out in front.
And what they just did was just played right through the press.
Even though that was offside, that is a scary sight when you see that 5'9" number 10 running down the middle of the field with no one behind.
Yep.
Here's Kaique right around the middle of the field. Beautiful ball over Herman Johansson. Never mind, I had bad depth perception. And over to San Diego. And now a whistle. They'll go against Dallas and to the San Diego side.
San Diego winning a lot of the midfield battles, winning a lot of the contested balls tonight. And you win those little battles in the midfield, it gives you opportunities to get further up the field, and it's worked for San Diego tonight.
Here's an opportunity here and into the back of the net, but the flag is up. How many times have we said that one tonight?
Yeah, there was not much doubt about that. Again, I just don't see why they don't raise the flag, because I'm trying to pick out who it was. It might have been Valakari, but he was, well, take it back. He was 2 yards behind Bernie Kamungo, but Sebastian Ibiaga wasn't holding a very tight line right there, so they may look at that.
Maybe that was what the far side judge saw, but they will continue play. Looked to be a couple steps out in front.
It was definitely a couple of steps behind Bernie Kamungo, but on the replay I could see that Ibiaga was about a step behind Bernie as well.
FC Dallas maybe with a break there. Can they find the equalizer? Coming into this match, San Diego FC has not conceded a goal in MLS play through 3 games, but 2 from Petter Musa. And this Dallas squad find a third. Sent all the way through, and Colodi will corral it inside the box.
The other attacking changes Dallas could make, they've got Dietzen sitting on the bench.
Colodi sending it all the way through to Musa. Now headed down to Johansson. Musa. Johansson gave it up, but giving it right back to Ramiro. Now Ramiro trying to control it here on the near side.
San Diego quick into that counter press, but Dallas and Shaq Moore, Ramiro able to work out of it.
Biaga up ahead to Kaike. Kaike to the far side. Now getting out in front is Logan Farrington with his first touch here. Logan Farrington with a cross opportunity. Dribbles it back, and it's deflected out. It'll be a corner for FC Dallas.
Just into the game, make an impact. That's what Logan Farrington just did.
Now with Christian Kappas, the typical corner taker out, it'll be Joaquin Valiente sending it through. Here's a sub for San Diego. Christopher McVeigh will come on, the Swede. In his 5th season in the MLS, he spent 2 with Inter Miami and 1 with DC United, and now in his 2nd season.
Yeah, he'll come in for Serra, and McVeigh is their starting center back. So now they've got the starters in, McVeigh and Dua.
Serra will check out. Here's the cross in from Valiente. And it's headed out by San Diego, headed back into the box, and Nolan Norris! The flag is up. Stop me if you've heard that one. I've lost count of how many goals have been taken off because of an offside penalty here in this one. And Nolan Norris, that has got to be a tough break for him. Thought he had his first goal of the season, but too far out in front.
It'll get checked, of course. So it's Ramiro that heads the ball back in. He's just outside the penalty area. Bounces once, and then Norris just puts it over Cisniega, but there's not a good angle. We didn't have a good angle there to show where exactly Norris was as Ramiro heads that ball back into the danger area.
Looks like Nolan Norris knew it. He didn't show too much frustration after that. Still awaiting, and now the whistle to continue play.
So that's the check.
Working around the middle of the field, and that's going to be a foul against
Norris.
That will be Norris. San Diego trying to build a little bit of comfort. Each time that they have found a 2-goal lead, Dallas has been able to cut it in half.
Godoy down the right side. Nolan Norris got over to erase that space quickly.
Now working on the far side, a lot of FC Dallas defenders in the area, and they're able to win it back. A little bit of a push there. Now San Diego able to control it in a dangerous spot and giving right back to Nolan Norris. Nolan Norris over to Camungo. Camungo sending it ahead to Valiente. Valiente tried to get a soft touch on it, but towed it just a bit too much and back over to San Diego. In the middle third.
And the formation change and a couple of personnel changes. When Dallas does get the ball, they're just not in good spots to absorb that first pass out. And when you can't make that first connection, it's difficult to, you just got all kinds of trouble from there. Here comes some more changes for Dallas. Looks like Patrickson, Delgado, and Dietzen are coming in.
Trying to get some fresh legs here for this final push. Speaking of a push, here's one from San Diego. And Kaike able to bat it out. Throw in for San Diego. Kaike guarding that far side.
Kaike's been all over the place tonight.
Now sent ahead, and good job by Shaq Moore to just head it up into the air. It's not out of the danger zone just yet. Nolan Norris fighting around, and a little bit too much contact against, or on Nolan Norris rather, and it'll go over to FC Dallas. Good job by Shaq Moore, though, to avoid danger.
won't have to wait long to find out, but I would imagine Valiente is one of the players coming out, and then I'm sure one of the wing backs, whether it's Johansson or Burning Kamungo, not sure.
I guess you could make a case for both. Johansson with the yellow. Kamungo has been up and down at times tonight.
Yep.
San Diego sending it all the way through, and now trying to run under it was Valakari. Pushed a bit too far. Over to Collodi. Collodi over to Norris. And despite the own goal, gotta like the debut from Nolan Norris to this point.
Gotta like that pass that he just zipped into Valiente's foot right at the midfield.
Valiente over to Musa. Musa back to the left, back to the far side now. Sending it back through. Here's Shaq Moore. Developing some form. A nice ball inside. And a good job by Cisniega to cut it off. And Logan Farrington hit the grass. There's a bit of contact that he took on.
Yeah, he's been wrestling with somebody back behind the ball.
San Diego, there will be a foul going against Johansson. Johansson didn't like it, neither does his home crowd. But it'll give us the chance for these two substitutions. You mentioned it, Dietzen and Patrickson Delgado will come on.
Fouls right now even at 11 against each team. Interesting that Michael Collodi officially hasn't had to make a save.
Joaquin Valiente will come off, as well as Ramiro.
We'll see how Dallas reshapes here.
And refresh me here with Ramiro coming off. That means Shaq Moore will get the captain's armband.
I would think so. I didn't see him pass it off to anybody.
Here's Farrington trying to work against Pellegrino.
Frisco just calmly gets the ball out of trouble.
Now just sent all the way through, out of trouble there on the first touch.
Logan Farrington looked at Deason as if to say, instead of kicking that ball right by me, you can just play me in right here.
Now working in the middle. First touch for Delgado.
Not accurate on the pass.
Kamungo able to win it back. Here's Kaike. Trying to chip it forward for Farrington, but he let it a bit too far. Farrington just a bit frustrated.
I think FC Dallas needs to show a little bit more composure on the ball right now. As soon as you win it, you don't have to try to play somebody through.
12 and a half minutes plus stoppage. Gave back to Musa. Dangerous territory here. What can Musa do with it? He's trying to get it ahead to Dietzen. Batted right back to Shaq Moore. Shaq Moore. Back to Musa. Musa with a beautiful ball in, and Farrington couldn't find it. Still in the box, though, is Kamungo. Couldn't find a shot opportunity despite that good look.
Ball that lands on Kamungo's feet inside the penalty area ends up almost back in midfield.
Now a beautiful ball from Musa inside to Dietzen. Dietzen has a good look at Farrington, and Farrington couldn't finish. He had a look right in front of the goal.
Oh, bless his heart. He had such a good chance last week against LAFC, and that one, the ball is whipped in over at the back post. Just can't steer it in.
It was a beautiful send inside from Musa, and then from
Dietzen
as well.
He sort of slapped at it instead of just putting his foot out there. He just puts his foot out there, lunges, lets it hit his left foot. I mean, he's 3 feet out of goal.
One in the middle of the field from Delgado. And over to Dietzen. Dietzen was trying to get it to Johansson, but way off on the pass. You see those fresh legs of Patrickson, Delgado, and Dietzen.
Yeah, but you still got to have the technical quality.
Now into San Diego's attacking third. Norris able to control it. Norris up to Kaike, and Kaike gives it right back. Bad spot for a turnover. San Diego FC looking for Dreyer, and Collodi came up on it, and then he just lets it roll wisely
Oh,
behind
such
him.
a good little turn from Dreyer. Just gets the ball on the half turn and immediately little scoop pass. That's the pass of a guy that scored 19 goals, had 19 assists last year.
Dreyer mostly held quiet here since checking in the second half. This young back line for San Diego, passing it back and forth at this point. Manu Dua. Back to Cisniega.
I'm really surprised we haven't seen Sam Sarver come in and just be a little bit of a chaos creator.
Into the final 10 minutes, plus stoppage. Dallas trying to chase down that equalizer.
Crowd doing their part to try to get Dallas back into it.
It'd be a hard-earned point after some of the unfortunate mistakes. Unforced errors, forced errors. Nevertheless, it's led to 3 goals for San Diego. Now working in the Dallas attacking third, trying to win it back was Delgado. Excuse me, that was Dietzen. And able to throw in from Kamungo. Kaike back to Kamungo. Over to Norris. Ibiaga. Norris on the far side. Down the sideline to Kamungo, trying to find some room on that far side. And a good challenge there from San Diego, able to win it back. Kamungo just has not had a lot of one-on-one wins here tonight. And there's one where he pushed just a bit too much, and that'll be a foul against Bernie Kamungo.
Well, Eric Quill wants dogs on the field, and I think he's got a bunch of them. I think he's got them going in a good direction, but you still got to have the technical quality, and we're seeing San Diego right now set the standard for technical quality. Their passing is just sharp. In tight spaces, out in space. I mean, look at them right now.
Looks like you might see Ron Benyamin check into the game here in a moment. The Israeli coming on for this finish. Now Dallas able to win it in the middle third. A lot of bodies in the area. Petr Musa trying to create some room. It stays in bounds. And it'll go over to San Diego. Now San Diego with a little bit of room. And they'll work it back. There's a San Diego player on the grass. No whistle, and there's the whistle. As that's Anibal Godoy needing some attention over there, but that gives the opportunity for Ron Benyamin. Not at this moment, but eventually to check into the ballgame.
Yeah, it looks like Dallas doesn't have the card handed in yet.
Still talking through strategy with the 22-year-old Israeli in his first season with FC Dallas. Working back to Cisniega, now back in play. Now working in the middle, now here's an opportunity for Pellegrino. Pellegrino, a little bit of shape here into the box, trying to tow it inside, and a good job by that back line of FC Dallas to avoid danger. Given right back to San Diego. Here's Pellegrino. Moving it into the middle. Back to Godoy. Over to the far side. Just trying to slow down pace San Diego is. Any pace that FC Dallas is able to create. And if they do find pace, try to find a scoring opportunity with it. That one led a little bit too far out in front, and it's over to FC Dallas. Johansson into the middle, and just trying to get it back to Johansson. Was kicked out of bounds.
Yeah, it was Patrickson over there, just missing connection on the pass.
And now officially Ron Benjamin will be able to check in for Sebastian Ibiaga. As the Nigerian will check out, the Israeli will come on here in the 85th minute.
So now Dallas has no natural center back in the game. That's interesting. Nolan Norris has played there a little bit. Looks like a four-man back line.
It's going to be a yellow here. Someone's getting booked.
Yeah, just delaying the restart. Looks like to be it was Manadua.
Dua's second yellow of the MLS season. He had a red against Toluca. One of two players for San Diego that had a red against Toluca. Still able to come out with a 3-2 victory against the Mexican champs from a year ago. That was last Wednesday night. They'll have the second leg down south next Wednesday in the round of 16 in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Working in the middle third now is San Diego.
So Dallas has a four-man back line right now of Johansson on the right, Shaq Moore, Nolan Norris in the middle, and Bernie Kamungo on the left. So nobody's playing in the back line in natural position, but that's what happens when you're chasing the goal.
And maybe some trust put into Nolan Norris after his debut here today.
I think he's done okay.
You take the own goal out of the equation, and there it was unfortunate from Dietzen. Couldn't control it. I'll go over to San Diego. You take the own goal out of the equation. Overall, you have to like the debut from Nolan Norris.
Yeah, the own goal. I mean, I always think those are unfortunate, of course, but a lot of times they're balls that are going in anyway.
Now San Diego. Here's Dreyer with a little bit of freedom off the right side of the box. Couldn't do anything with it. Deflected out. Now Musa trying to control it and giving right back to San Diego a little bit of room. And a good job by Norris to close. Now trying to work in transition. Can Dietzen get out in front? Good defending there in the middle of the field and knock it out and allow San Diego to get some runners back.
I mean, Dallas chasing the goal right now. They just can't gain possession. And San Diego's so good at counter pressing, and then even in tight spaces, they can just rondo right out of it.
Eric Quill is trying to motion his guys to get onto the attacking end. Here's Kamungo. Into Delgado in the middle. Delgado over to Johansson. Johansson inside to Farrington. Farrington trying to look for a teammate, and I don't know about that foul call against Logan Farrington. It was right at the corner of the box.
Yeah, he swung an arm, and I can't identify the San Diego player.
It was Luca Bombino.
Yeah, it's Bombino.
Farrington was trying to work right at the corner. Yeah, and he did swing his right arm out, and it caught Bombino in the face. It's the good look of our veteran up in the booth, Steve. They ever recruit you for VAR stuff these days?
Wouldn't do it. I like this seat.
Yeah, it's a great one here in Frisco. Really good crowd here in Frisco tonight as well. 89th minute. If Dallas is going to find the equalizer, it has to happen in a hurry. Given to Dallas in the middle of the field. It was a bad pass from San Diego. Here's Dietzen. And it's knocked out by Shaq Moore. And Shaq Moore a little frustrated.
I mean, when Dallas gets the ball right now, they just can't keep it. When you change formations, change personnel, you lose a lot of structure, and it's harder to keep the ball once you have it, because all the angles change, all the regular places you would look for somebody change.
Now Dallas here working on the back line, trying to get into the middle of the field, able to do so. Now a long cross all the way to the far side. That's Logan Farrington trying to find Dietzen. There's also Musa in the area. Musa couldn't keep it in. He gave his best effort, threw out his right leg to try to move it back into the middle of play, but it goes out for a goal kick.
That's a ball that we've seen Logan Farrington hit effectively over on the left side, pulls it back to his right. He just asked a little too much of Petter Musa running at the back post that time. Musa just couldn't quite catch up with it.
Here's Bombino. Dallas working this press. They were able to force San Diego into a mistake using this press in the first half.
I mean,
got a goal out of it.
Frisco has just made all the difference, though, in the second half.
FC Dallas back with possession. Kaique down to Farrington. Over to Kamungo into the middle of the field. Finding Johansson, and it was skied over Johansson's head by Ron Benjamin.
Just too many times tonight. Dallas just not really, just not taking that fraction of a second to settle themselves and make the better pass.
We have 8 minutes of added time here at the back end of the second half.
Well, that's positive. That's plenty of time for Dallas to create a chance or two.
Headed out of bounds by San Diego to be a throw-in for FC Dallas. Shaq Moore trying to find a ball, and that San Diego bench is not helping him at all.
What they're all upset about is there's supposed to be a ball right there on the sideline, and everybody's looking for it.
All the FC San Diego players just kind of looking around like, hey, it's not my problem. Here's Norris working in the middle of the field. Up to Benjamin. Benjamin trying to find Farrington. Didn't get enough height on that one. It's cut off by McVeigh. McVeigh sends it through. It'll be Collodi that's able to come up and send it back into Johansson. Johansson in the middle to Benjamin. Benjamin to Norris. Right in the middle circle.
Right now for Dallas, too many players standing in the same spot.
Oh, and a beautiful pass inside by Benjamin. Johansson able to kick it back to Dietzen. Dietzen working inside, trying to get a look. There are a lot of San Diego bodies in the box, though, and it's given right back to San Diego. And now an opportunity here in the transition. Here's Anders Dreyer out in front, but a good job by Dallas to get 5 defenders back.
For the life of me, I cannot figure out why Dietzen didn't just hit an immediate cross once that ball was laid back for him. Instead, he tried to dribble and beat somebody and lost the ball.
Will that be the last look that Dallas gets here in this one? Into the second minute of stoppage time, approaching the third.
It's a great ball from Nolan Norris. Johansson got a hold of it, laid it back in a great spot for Dietzen, who didn't shoot, didn't cross, and just tried to dribble somebody when he just didn't need to.
Now San Diego trying to control possession. Over to Bombino here on this left side.
I mean, I said Dallas would, excuse me, Nick, I said Dallas would have a chance to create a couple of chances, but that was one, but they just didn't even turn it into a chance.
They're trying to find Dreyer out in front, but Norris able to cut it off. Norris sends a long pass over just to clear things out.
I think Norris has been solid tonight, and his big balls from his left foot are helping.
Given over to Bombino, and Bombino just skies it all the way out for a goal kick. Now Collodi hustling back. Collodi to his right side to Shaq Moore. Now to our near side to Johansson. Back to Shaq Moore. Back to Collodi to let them force some things up. Moore. Moore was looking at Farrington. Farrington had a run. They're across the midfield stripe. Now Moore sending it through to Dietzen. Dietzen working through at the edge of the box. He doesn't have a lot of room, and it's a bad cross inside.
And he was offside.
And he was offside anyway. Brooke Mayo was right there for it.
Well, Shaq Moore has the ball on his foot looking up. Logan Farrington makes a run. Shaq Moore doesn't make the pass. Herman Johansson makes a run. Shaq Moore doesn't make the pass. You know, sometimes you just got to be brave. You know, you see the runs, make the pass, and then eventually when somebody does try to go over the top, Dietzen's offside.
Halfway through stoppage time, 4 of the 8 minutes gone. Kamungo able to win the free kick off of the San Diego foot. Now Kamungo with a little bit of a run, trying to get inside. He set up Petter Musa beautifully. Bernie Kamungo. And Petter Musa has a hat trick. The equalizer in stoppage time here on the home grass for FC Dallas.
What a moment from Bernie Kamungo. He's had his ups and downs tonight, but this time he just takes on everybody. He says, I'm going to beat all of you, and he almost does. And right at the last minute, slips a little ball. I mean, he's taking that ball, maybe 40 yards? Right at the last moment. Slips a little ball into Peter Musa at the near post. Musa knows what to do with it from there. Puts it in the back of the net.
And as soon as that ball hit the back of the net, Peter Musa started pointing at Kamungo the whole time during the celebration, and rightfully so.
Well, we said it over and over. I've said it for 2 weeks now. Dallas needs more out of those wingbacks, needs more attack, needs something more dynamic. Well, that time, Bernie Kamungo did just that. He takes a ball somewhere 30 yards out on the left side. He beats 4 men.
Wow.
Individually.
What a take from Bernie Kamungo. You mentioned it, Steve. He's had his ups and downs tonight, but that'll make everyone forget those downs a little bit easier.
Well, Michael Colodi kind of taking his time. I mean, he's still got 2.5 minutes. Go get the winner, Michael.
Can either side find a winner here in the final 2.5? FC Dallas, their home crowd would absolutely go ballistic if they are able to do so. Against the Western Conference finalists from a year ago. Here's an opportunity. Oh my goodness, Patrick Delgado had a look at it. Maybe should have dribbled it up a bit further. He had room there, and he missed it to the right side of the goal.
Well, indecision there on San Diego's part. Nobody wanted to take charge of a bouncing ball, and Patrickson said, I'll take it. But he just got going a little too fast and scruffed his shot.
Maybe saw Luca Bombino closing in. There's a foul against Ron Benjamin. Approaching 90 seconds to go here in stoppage time. And San Diego just trying to get out of here with a point. And there's another whistle against Nolan Norris. Now sending it through is Pellegrino. Anders Dreyer sitting in the middle of the field. They weren't trying to find him, though. It was sent all the way through. Pellegrino couldn't track it down.
Still 60 seconds at least. I cannot figure out why Colodi's taking his time.
Yeah, taking his sweet time, sending it in.
I mean, the bench is telling him, get going.
Eric Quill is...
Does he think they're in the lead?
Eric Quill is rounding the man around third. That's how much he's moving his arms.
That's very strange.
Goes right over to Cisniega. Now Cisniega sending it through. 30 seconds to go. And it's kicked out of bounds. It'll be San Diego possession. And maybe one last chance here. Bombino to throw in. There's a lot of complaining here coming from the FC Dallas bench. Now Bombino. Maybe one last throw in here. We have hit the 98-minute mark. Valakari inside. Here's an opportunity for Dreyer. Inside. A really good job there to be able to cut it off.
Nolan Norris with the big block.
Nolan Norris again. What a game here for Nolan Norris. And now in transition for Dallas. It looks like the officials are going to let him have it. Peter Musa has runners. A little bit of too heavy of a touch for Peter Musa. And San Diego was able to get it back. No final whistle just yet. San Diego now with a transition opportunity. Valakari here in the middle. Heavy action here in stoppage time. An opportunity for Dreyer in the box. Crossing it in, and Colodi cuts it off. Still no whistle, but yet not a lot of urgency from this FC Dallas side. Colodi throws it in to Logan Farrington. Farrington being held, and there's a whistle. Oh, and thrown down. There's a San Diego player, and Farrington's going to get booked for a yellow from that.
I can only guess that Dallas players are just exhausted. I can't figure out why they seem to be a little more content with the draw than San Diego right now.
Looks like Michael Colodi will take this free kick wisely.
It's not going to help if Dallas can't find some legs to get upfield and get after it.
And there's the final whistle. couldn't quite find the winner, but the equalizer in stoppage time set up by Bernie Kamingo to Petter Musa for his hat trick has to give the FC Dallas faithful some good hope driving back home tonight, as FC Dallas will escape this one with 1 point.
Down there, Mikey Varas exchanging some hugs with a lot of guys that he knows from the FC Dallas bench. There's a lot to talk about with this one, Nick.
Yeah, we will have the post-game show to recap everything. You were talking about how the players were fatigued. So many of them have already hit the grass here for a little bit of a breather. We'll be right back with the post-game show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break.
At Toyota, we don't just build trucks. We build something that's meant to last. That's why the 2026 Tundra is built to tough it out and to take it easy. Built to carry tradition and to make new ones. Built stronger, built louder, built here. The 2026 Toyota Tundra. Built in Texas, driven everywhere. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See Toyota.com for details.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And a spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern. The future of medicine sparks here.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
After just under 100 minutes at Toyota Stadium tonight, it's FC Dallas 3, San Diego FC 3, as the two Western Conference sides end up splitting the points, thanks in part to a hat trick from Petter Musa. Hello, everybody. Welcome into the FC Dallas postgame show. It is brought to you tonight by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota. Let's go places. Also brought to you this evening by UMB Bank. See how UMB can help you achieve your business goals. I'm your host, Sam Hale. I'll be joined in a few moments by the voices of tonight's contest. It's Nick Harris, it's Steve Davis. But let's start first with your post-game highlights. Not many to start with for FC Dallas, as in the 21st minute, a PK allowed Oni Valakari to score the first goal of this one. That made it 1-0 San Diego. And then exactly 10 minutes later, it was Marcus Vartson who put another one past Michael Colodi from the penalty spot after Herman Johansson committed a foul in the box. That made it 2-0 San Diego in the 31st minute. But then 10 minutes after that, it was Petter Musa getting the party started.
Now his press starting to work. Heavily upfield and stolen inside the box. Here's Kaike with an opportunity from Musa. Musa able to finish. Beautiful work there from Petter Musa. Saved on the first chance, knocked right back to him. And he kicks it out of the air into the bottom right corner. And FC Dallas with a much-needed morale boost here at the end of the first half.
Goal number 3 on the MLS season for Musa. That made it 2-1, and that was the score at the halftime break. Out of the halftime break, it was the 51st minute, so another 10 minutes of game time later. And it was that man again, Oni Valakari, this time given credit for the goal after it deflects off the knee of Nolan Norris. It was already headed goal side, so the official decision is a Valakari goal, his second of the game. That made it 3-1 San Diego. But then 3 minutes later, it was another penalty kick, but this one was for FC Dallas.
Already with 1 goal here on the home grass tonight. 3 on the season. Can he make it a 4th? Pablo Cisniega chooses wrong, and Petter Musa knocks it into the back of the net. 3-2.
Musa's second goal of the night, his second 2-goal game of the season at that point, made it 3-2 San Diego in the 54th minute. We would have to wait for another 40-plus minutes for the 95th minute at 5 minutes into stoppage time, and it was once again Petter Musa to rescue a point for FC Dallas.
Halfway through stoppage time, 4 of the 8 minutes gone. Kamungo able to win the free kick off of the San Diego foot. Now Kamungo with a little bit of a run, trying to get inside. He set up Petter Musa beautifully. Bernie Kamungo. And Petter Musa has a hat trick. The equalizer. in stoppage time here on the home grass for FC Dallas.
Goal number 3 of the match. It is the hat trick for the Croatian, number 5 of the MLS season. That made it 3-3 in the 95th minute, and that's where it would sit as the final whistle blew on this offensively charged night between FC Dallas and San Diego FC. Let's go ahead and give you tonight's post-game stats. Those this evening are brought to you by UMB Bank. Again, of course, the most important one, Dallas gets a point out of this one. They get 2 points out of their last 3 matches. Possession-wise, San Diego takes the win 60-40. Dallas 13 shots, 8 of those on target tonight. 5 shots for San Diego, just 4 of those on target for the Chrome and Azul. We had 3 corners for Dallas, none for San Diego. I can't remember the last time a Dallas opponent didn't have a corner on the night, but they did it. That was tonight. 5 saves for Pablo Cisniega, only 1 save officially from Michael Collodi. 16 fouls for Dallas, 12 for San Diego. 3 yellow cards to 2 yellow cards for FC Dallas and San Diego FC. Now as we bring in the commentary team for tonight's draw, it's Nick Harris, it's Steve Davis. And boy, Nick, I said in the pregame show, you picked a good one. I didn't anticipate that was the one you were going to have for your first experience here on the FC Dallas Radio Network. FC Dallas showed a lot of resilience in the end. They don't get all 3, but they do come away with 1 against a tough San Diego squad.
Yeah, I hope you like offense because you certainly had it here tonight. And just a really good job by Eric Quill's team tonight to show a lot of fight. They fell down by 2 goals twice and came back into it and found the equalizer in stoppage time to get out of here with a point. That's a hard-earned point. It won't count any differently than the 0-0 tie that they had a couple weeks back, but it's going to feel like a lot more after this one.
You're right, Nick. When you say it's going to feel something, I tell you what, a draw at home, not great, but it feels a lot better this way than if you have the lead and lose it. When you come back late like that, show the resilience, I think it makes everybody feel a lot better about the same point you would have earned had it gone the other way, but it does feel a little bit better. So I don't know, Sam, what are we talking about? Do you want to talk about the league's leading scorer, Petr Musa?
I do want to talk about the league's leading scorer.
Or do you want to talk about Burna Kamungo's wild night of not doing a lot right in the first half and then creating a penalty kick and creating the late equalizer?
Oh, we're going to get to both, but I want to start with Musa because something we've said pretty consistently since he got here, and even more so into 2026, this team will go where Petr Musa takes them. Look at this season so far through the first couple games. He scores a brace in the first game, they win against Toronto. He scores 3 goals tonight, they pull a point. He doesn't score against LAFC, doesn't score against Nashville, and they only get 1 point out of those 2 games. I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing, but it's the reality of the situation. This is Petr Musa's team. He is the ship that guides them, the rudder, the sail, whatever you want to call it. But, man, is he really, really, really good.
Yeah, for sure. What I was referencing a minute ago, not only is he good, he is currently the league's leading scorer right now. Nico Fernandez, NYC, Sam Surridge from Nashville, Jacques Klaus from L.A., all on 4 goals. Now Petr Musa. There will be games tomorrow, so we'll have to see. But good chance that Petr Musa ends the weekend as the league's leading scorer, which is good and bad for Dallas because it's good that he's scoring these goals, but he's getting noticed. He just got a Croatian national team call up. If he scores a goal against England when they play in the World Cup right across town at AT&T Stadium, there's going to be teams coming for him.
Price of the brick going up, though, in that regard. And
it is.
And, Nick, when it comes to that, we talk a lot about Musa as just the pendulum. We even talked in pregame, hey, Dallas is changing up their situation a little bit tonight offensively. They're going with 4 midfielders. They're not playing that second striker. Well, the results are pretty plain. A Musa hat trick, but not just that. 13 shots to 5 for Dallas, the advantage, and then 8 shots on target to 4. They double up San Diego. Again, one of the better offensive teams. I mean, obviously they don't get the win, but they're showing the end product on the field that they just need to get that final little result. That's what they're eluding right now.
Yeah, they were able to take advantage of that young back line for San Diego, and whether it be finding Petr Musa in the box or even finding some other opportunities. Logan Farrington had a couple of runs at it after he checked in the second half that looked good, but nevertheless, offensive momentum that you can build off of after back-to-back matches where they couldn't find the back of the net.
And, obviously that last goal, the final goal, and the penalty kick comes thanks to Bernard Kamungo. And Steve, I was prepared to come into this postgame show at about like the 65th minute going, oh, man, I don't know about Bernie. Like, we maybe need to have that discussion again. And I'm still – maybe we should, but at the very least, when you see that beautiful assist on the 3rd goal and him creating the penalty kick, you see the vision there. And part of the thing that may save him is I kind of look around the depth chart, and I don't really see another option at left wing back right now. It certainly helps when he does great things like that, but he's also protected by the fact that depth at that particular spot right now is a little dry.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think Dietzen really influenced the game after he came in, and he might have been one that was sort of trying to creep up on Bernie. Hey, just real quick, I'm going to finish with Peter Musa.
Sure.
He has 3 goals on 1.7 XG, so in other words, he's really sort of turning bad situations into goals when you only expected to have about a goal and a half and you got 3. 52 touches, 80% on his passing. I think he's an underrated passer. I think he's terrific at that. 5 shots on target for the night, so Peter Musa really getting it done tonight. As far as Bernie Kamungo, that assist, man, that was just an assist of sheer will. That looked like a guy to me. I went back and watched it again. He picks up the ball at about 45 yards out over on the left side. It looks like a guy to me who knows he hasn't had his best night. Yeah, he's helped the team a lot with the penalty kick, but technically, he wasn't the best tonight. He looks like a guy who said, I need to do something right now. I need to do something to keep my starting spot, and boy, did he. I mean, he clears one guy out at about 40 yards, beats 3 more before he slips the ball over into Peter Musa's foot. So what an assist. What a moment for young Bernie Kamungo.
Yeah, it was just a beautiful, and it's kind of, sometimes it's not how you start, it's how you finish, especially that benefited Dallas as they end up with the last goal to pull a point out of this. And, Nick, we've been talking a lot about the idea of this 3-game stretch, starting with Nashville, then L.A., then San Diego. You end up with 2 points out of that, a scoreless draw for Nashville, a 1-0 loss at L.A., and then a 3-3 draw here at home against San Diego. And I want to have a theory, and I have a hypothesis, and I'll start with you, and we'll come down the line here. It's very clear Dallas is an improved team over this last year. I don't think they win any of these games last year, being very frank. And I think they're improved, but I think they're just that hair's breadth away from being that next level. They've reached that next strata, but they're just not quite at that next strata yet. That's the theory I'm currently working under.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. And has it been perfect over the last 3 games? Absolutely not, far from it. But let's look at tonight in the vacuum of, hey, you didn't have Osaze or Aguirre, and you bring in Nolan Norris, and Nolan Norris was great tonight. And I'm glad he wasn't credited for the own goal, because that would have been a bad stinker on what would have been what was an awesome night for him. But you look at this FC Dallas squad building consistency, and you're starting to see that offensive rhythm really start to click. I think this next stretch of games, it's going to be really important whether they build on this momentum or if they start to do that teeter-totter thing that we experienced so much from last season as well.
The thing with Nolan Norris is he did everything he needed to do defensively. I think the reason he might have just earned at least one more start at that spot is what he did with the ball, though, because his diagonals coming out, and this is exactly what Eric Quill told us yesterday. As a left footer, he can do this, and he hits a good diagonal. He can get you out of traffic with one big swing of the left foot, move the ball over to the right side where there's, where Herman Johansson or Bernie Kamungo, whoever it happens to be over there, where they can then run out in space. So there's also a couple of balls he hit down the left channel because you hit that curling ball with your left foot. Sent Peter Musa off on a good run on one of those. A couple more for Bernie Kamungo. So I think he did everything he needed to do to make a real good case for himself to keep the starting spot.
Yeah, I think there's a real good chance against Houston next week, and I'm sure we'll talk about it during the week, and we'll wait till see training as we go here, assuming, hopefully Osaze's ready. If not, I will donate groin muscles to him so he can play again, please. He
doesn't want yours, Sam. He doesn't want none of us.
Boy, I think if we tied all 3 of ours together, it probably wouldn't work out that way. But I think Nolan Norris had a really strong performance. I think we saw the things that we expected to see, and I am really curious to see what that looks like when he's playing next to Osaze or Aguirre. Let's play a little fantasy manager here. In the case, let's just say that's what happens. Osaze is back. Nolan has earned his place. I'm wondering who Eric Quill takes out, because I think there's been a lot of quality play along that back line, and I'm not sure anyone has necessarily lost a job so far, but, Nolan looked good enough that he should keep his at the very least. So I'll throw that out to anyone who wants to take a stab at it.
Yeah, it gives you reliable depth at the very least. At best, he's able to come in and actually find a role, but you look at Ibiaga, Shaq Moore, even Herman Johansson when he came in the back line role toward the end of the game, or after the 2 goals rather, you can't say that the back line had a bad night. There was just a couple of forced errors that came to those penalty kicks, and I don't think you can necessarily blame the back line. I'm not sure whose spot he takes. In the same sense of, hey, if you're looking at Kamungo, who takes his spot? I don't know who Norris takes the spot of.
Well, and part of this is as well, I think, especially early, we look at the first couple goals conceded by a penalty, and Steve, you correctly called it out. They were attacking that left-hand side of San Diego, the right-hand side, and and Dallas had inverted the wingbacks. As soon as they re-inverted and put Herman back on the right side and Bernie back on the Dallas left, they still made some attempts at that, but it doesn't feel like they were having as much hay. I do wonder if maybe this is probably the last time we're going to see that, at least consistently for a little while. It seems like a strategy that Eric Will has tried out, and maybe it had some effect against LA, but tonight it didn't quite come to pass.
Maybe. We'll see. Yeah, Bernie Kamungo looked better on the right side last week. This week he looked better on the left side, so I'm not sure. I think look, when you talk about wingbacks, I don't think we need to get too much in the weeds here on that one with so much to talk about it with this game tonight. But essentially, they're looking at a bunch of things. It could be defensive matchups, could be attacking matchups. It could be that somebody is combines with somebody better on that side. So they're looking at a lot of different things. But that I think we'll continue to see him flip-flop, but plenty of other stuff to talk about with this one.
Yeah, and here's something to talk about. I think another player that made a very big impression, I think Ka'ike had himself just a whopper of a night in general. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it felt like every time that the ball came back around his area, he was either in the right position, grabbing it, going forward. He had the assist on one of the Musa goals. Like, he was all over the place tonight. He was just a whirling dervish, and it seems like he's maybe evolved when we first heard about him from Andre Zanata and company. Oh, he's the next great six from Brazil. Like, that's going to be his position. I think as we're seeing his skill set develop, that's not necessarily the case. And I'm not even saying that's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, look, I think tonight set up really well for him because Dallas came to press. We should probably talk about that a little bit about Eric Will's tactics tonight. But Dallas did come to press, and that's a game that Bernie Kamungo wants. He Bernie Kamungo that Ka'ike wants. And he set up the first goal by picking somebody's pocket down there, sort of getting in on the press. There's already a Dallas player or two around, but because he's got that energy, he inserts himself in there to adds a third player into pressure inside the penalty area, steals the ball, slips over to Musa. Musa needs two shots, but he puts the first one on target, gets it back, and scores the goal. So it's a game that's set up really well for what Ka'ike can give you, and he gave him a lot tonight. I agree.
Yeah, and talking about the tactics which Ka'ike benefited from, Nick, it was a pretty simple tactic we saw. We saw the four midfielders working in that box midfield, and they basically gave San Diego a directive. You can advance the ball if you want. You're just not coming down Route 1. You are going to have to go outside if you want to do it, or you're going to have to try to boot it super long and get over our press because we're going to attack you all night long.
Yeah, things were definitely halted in that middle third, if you will, and it wasn't until Jeppe Sverskov came into the game that they even found any sort of consistency, finding some rhythm in the midfield. They did a really good job, whether it was Ramiro or Ka'ike. Even Johansson played some in the first half in that area where he was able to win some challenges. Overall, I liked the approach, and it seemed to work. Sverskov he's tough to control whenever he comes into the game with his veteran presence. Yeah,
the game changed a lot. So Dallas comes to press. That's as high as and as aggressive as I've seen an Eric Will team press consistently. They've had stretches, maybe 10 minutes, where they would press that aggressively. But this time, right from the jump, and I thought it did rattle San Diego a lot. Then Sverskov comes in the second half, and he's just a quality player. He's so calm on the ball. He's so good with his angles. The context of the moment in terms of where's the ball coming from, where's the pressuring defender. So I just get my body in a certain place, my body shape right, and if the player can pass to the correct foot, then he's just out of trouble, and he's got him off and running. He's got that awareness. He knows exactly where he's going with the ball as he makes that turn. So he's on the half turn and flowing, better than most players in Major League Soccer. Real quick, Ka'ike, 7.4 miles tonight he ran.
Holy cow. I don't want to run that much in a year, and he ran it in about 100 minutes of game time. That's incredible for the young Brazilian who had himself a whopper of a night.
By the way, Bernie Kamungo and Johansson cover about the same amount of ground. So they're all at about 12.4 kilometers, something like that. So they're putting in a lot of work as well.
Give them a hot bath, a cold bath, a both. I don't care. Whatever they need. Ask them whatever they need to get those legs rested. But, you bring up Sverskov and how he changed the game when he came in. Because he comes in at halftime, San Diego's up 2-1. The missive there seems pretty clear. Hey, we want to control the ball a lot more. I mean, they already had the possession battle led pretty well. but they wanted that more quality possession, try to choke out the game away from Dallas so they couldn't get back in. And I think it's a big credit to FC Dallas, Steve, that not only, we saw last week with LAFC, once they went up specifically in the second half, they were just passing the ball around and they worked their system. Well, San Diego tried to do some of that again tonight, and they had some success, but Dallas was able to break through, get the second and the third goal to at least salvage a point. And I think that's a big credit to just the never give up and the dog mentality that this team is proclaimed to have.
Yeah, Sam, I'll tell you what, they've got that. We know it now. We saw it last year toward the end of the season. And Eric Quill was able to bring in, through the Dallas technical staff, more players like that. We know that about them. Now, to take the next level, though, what you saw from San Diego tonight, the dog in Dallas got him the equalizer. With San Diego, though, it was the technical quality once Frisco came in was so good. Wherever they are in the field, if they get into a tight space, if there's pressure coming, they're just able to rondo their way right out of it. Boom, 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 and they're out. And it happened over and over again. And Dallas just doesn't have that. And, Eric Quill will tell you that, that they just don't have those kind of players, right? They're going to win by winning the challenges in midfield and creating turnovers in the right places and being opportunistic through a guy like Peter Musa. So it was really fun to watch, but you saw the difference in the technical quality there. And there's several times when, Patrickson comes in and immediately he's inaccurate with the pass. Dietzen hit a couple of stinkers with trying to pass. So, they just don't have the same technical quality. So if they can marry that dog with a little bit more quality on the ball, they're going to go somewhere.
No, I agree, and that's kind of what's fueling the hypothesis I floated here in the very first of the pregame show, is that that's the next level there, because you see it's not the big things, it's those little things like like Dietzen out there. Instead of just driving the cross in or even taking a shot, he pauses, he hesitates. We've seen Bernie do that at times. We've seen just about every player that's really not named Peter Musa at times make those those extra actions, those extra decisions, that extra thought. And this is probably a larger discussion for the agenda later this week, but it's also just a thing. It's just a reality, and you could say it's bad in the short term, but they were able to fight through it at the very least, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's just a credit to the resilience that they showed here tonight. And, got to give credit to the home crowd as well. They were able to get loud here in the final stages to help power that stoppage time goal. And Steve was talking about how gassed they looked in the final 10 minutes or so. They were still able to find the equalizer. And as soon as that final whistle was blown, just bodies hit the grass. That's kind of the story of this one tonight.
I do want to talk about the oddity, though, and I don't quite know what to make of this, but as Dallas scored that third goal, you thought, look, there's time. They can go get the winner.
Yes, they had about 4 minutes left, give or take.
And a couple of times, Collodi was just taking his time on these goal kicks. And at first I thought, well, is this coming from the bench? But obviously it's not coming from the bench.
No.
Eric Quill is over there waving his arms around, and the other players on the bench are saying, let's go. And I do wonder if maybe in the moment Collodi just understood how tired the players were around him. And he understood he just needed to give them a little bit of a break.
I think that's possible, because it did look very strange. You hear about the never say die mentality, but that slow pace when you maybe could have chased a goal and maybe gotten that fourth one. Although that's a pretty big ask in that same space. I'm curious, Steve, what you thought about Dallas ends up making 4 changes on the night. They bring in Logan Farrington, Dietzen, Delgado, and Ron Benjamin. I think the strangest one in general is when Benjamin comes in the 85th minute for Sebastian Biaga, which results in a back line, if I'm not mistaken, of Norris, Moore, Johansson, and Kamungo is the 4-man back line.
And nobody playing in their really natural position.
Yeah,
Nolan Norris maybe.
Yeah, the closest you get is Nolan Norris playing as a center back there, even though he plays more as a left center back and a 3. And this is the second time in a row we've seen Eric Quill kind of do this. I'm going to, change formations and change up personnel. And, tonight they end up getting a draw, so it works out okay. But this is, once is a happening, twice is a trend. I'm curious what we might make of this for the second straight week. Eric Quill's taking some gambles, and I'm just not – I don't have really an opinion. I don't know what to think of it yet.
I would just say it's not much of a gamble. You're down 3-2 at home.
That's fair.
You need a goal. And Eric Quill doesn't care if he gets beat 4-2, whatever. If they end up getting a goal, he needs a goal.
That's true.
And he got a goal. So I think it's fine. I mean, yes, would it be better if you had some like for like changes, and so you kind of keep the structure? Because I mentioned in the broadcast, the structure breaks down a lot when you have that. It's just at that point you're just looking for an individual to make a moment, and they got it with Burncast.
Yeah, and obviously one guy that's going to be looking back and maybe thinking he could have had that moment. 79th minute, Logan Farrington's been on for about 10 minutes, and he gets just a beauty right in the box there, and then he just can't quite get his foot around it. And Nick, Logan, I know him decently well at this point. He's probably gonna be having nightmares about that moment because he knows that could have been at that point it would have been the equalizer, and who knows what would have happened after that. But that could have been his moment, and it just inches away from being that time.
Yeah, Steve analyzed it perfectly right after it happened. He caught it on the outside of his foot, and maybe if he got more foot on it or on the inside, it comes inside rather than going out. But it was a beautiful look. Cisniega, he was not going to get over to it. Yeah, that's probably one he wants back, no doubt.
We've said before, we said in our preseason preview that the one thing you want from Logan Farrington now is just to improve that bottom line production. He gives you so much in terms of energy it turns into a contagious energy. He's drawing fouls. He's pissing off the opponents.
He's very good at that.
He is. He's the little burn your butt, isn't he? He's the rock in your shoe. But as a striker, you've got to have the bottom line production. And last year 5 goals, 4 assists, and now 2 games in a row he's gotten himself in a great position, and that's part of it too. That's a skill to get yourself into those spots. But I just thought, he just sort of slapped at that ball. Was it Dietzen that crossed that one? Or
I think it was
Dietzen. It was sent in from Musa to Dietzen. Dietzen had the beautiful cross in.
So, he just got to – and you see it a lot. The cross comes in with such pace, all he's got to do is stick his left foot out. I'm really demonstrating for the 2 people in the booth here with me as if everybody else could really see me. But you stick your left foot out, you let it hit your foot, and it goes in. And then instead he sort of tried to slap at it, and that's what caused it to go a little wide. And he was yeah, you're right, Sam. He's going to want that one back. Except it feels a little better now knowing that they didn't lose.
Yeah, it would be a lot worse if this one ended 3-2, just like last year the fixture did at this time.
Yep.
And he would that'd be like just ghosts circling his head as he put his head down on the pillow tonight. It would be just a real frustrating endeavor. And, obviously we've come to the end of this 3-game stretch, and we'll talk about Houston in just a minute, but I think you have to come away, if you look at the totality of things, you have to come away, the word I come up with is encouraged. Not because you'd like to see a little bit more points, you'd like to see even a 3rd point on the board, but you look at the way they actually played all 3 games. And by the way, San Diego coming in tonight hadn't conceded a goal. You put 3 on them, when 3 other teams couldn't even manage 1. I think as you look towards the rest of the season, maybe the results aren't exactly what you want, but you look at the team and go, you know what, that's a stable heading, and you feel like when you go up against opponents of maybe a quality on your level or below, your odds are good.
Yeah, this is absolutely something to build on moving forward. And obviously a lot of intrigue in the Texas Derby next week, but if they could take what they found here in the second half offensively and take it into not only next week but the rest of the season, it's going to be huge for what they can accomplish.
Well, look, guys, last year FC Dallas at home, 6 wins, 8 losses, 3 draws. That's 21 out of a possible 51 points. And that's just not good enough. And Eric Will knew that. It was mission critical this year for Dallas to get better at home. Now you look at it, 3 home games in the pocket. They've got 5 of a possible 9 points. So right there, that's a big improvement. 5 of a possible 9 points, considering that San Diego's competing for trophies this year. Nashville competing for trophies this year. The 2 draws came against those 2 teams. The team that might not compete for trophies this year, Toronto, they got all 3 points against them. So I agree. I think, of that critical mission of improving your performance at home, I think so far it's young in the season, but you can check the box.
Before we look ahead to the Texas Derby next week briefly, do we have any closing thoughts here before we turn off the open sign on FC Dallas 3, San Diego 3?
I'll ask my buddy Nick here a question. Did we talk about Valiente yet?
We have not talked about Valiente
because
yet.
I don't think that he gave them a lot in terms of chance creation, but I thought he was really active as well. I can't. I'm looking to try to find his running numbers right here, but I'm not seeing them. And I would guess that he's right around Kaike as well, because I thought he did a great job as Eric Kuhl sort of set up the press to that box midfield to match San Diego man for man, and it really did work. But it doesn't it's not just tactics. You got to go. You got to want to press. You got to want to keep pressing. And when you get beat, you got to still press. Or if the ball gets loose, you got to counter press. You got to stick with it. And I thought Kaique, Valiente, those guys, they all sort of gave them that tonight.
Yeah, it felt like when they were able to win turnovers off the press, more often than not, it felt like Valiente, if he wasn't forcing it, he was right there to take on the first pass. He was really good in that press situation today.
Yeah, it's encouraging to see that, especially because we heard so much positive talk from Quill about he's willing to do the work. It's not just the skills with the ball; it's the work off the ball.
He showed it tonight.
Yeah, I think he is paying that off and then some. He's quickly earning himself that warrior mentality that Quill talks about quite a bit.
Quill said he's going to have a breakout game very soon, so we got to hold him to that.
I mean, I don't think he's wrong. He's usually just a little early.
Yeah.
We've seen that a couple times where he's made a prediction and it's just a little early.
I see the vision.
I do too, and I hopefully he does too. And hopefully it's next week because Dallas has one more game before the FIFA international window, and it's going to be a doozy. Here at Toyota Stadium, it's the Texas Derby. Houston Dynamo come to town, and boy, Houston played a game tonight. They were, if I'm not mistaken, let's double check this. They were at Shell Energy. They played the Portland Timbers. They win 3-2, but that's with a yellow card from Nick Markanich in the 90th plus 4 minute. Portland misses a penalty in the first half, and this game ends up going to 18 extra minutes in the second half, and they end up scoring in the 90th plus 15th. Mateus Bogusz gives the Dynamo the lead in the 105th minute. Just a ridiculous game down in the Bayou City, but the Dynamo will come away with all 3 points out of that one. And a game that, I know it's going to shock anyone that's followed MLS. An inconsistent Phil Neville squad drops all 3 points in Shell Energy.
Phil Neville's in a little bit of trouble, I'm afraid. And I'm also afraid he wouldn't be the first MLS manager dismissed this year because our good friend and buddy Poppy was Oscar Pareja. Lost his job at Orlando this week. By the way, I texted Poppy, and he's in good spirits. He says just he can't wait for the next part of his journey. Houston Dynamo tonight. If they scored in the 105th minute, I'm wondering if that's going to go down as the latest goal ever scored in Major League Soccer. It probably is.
It's got to be up there because I mean there can't be that many.
Well, it was a few years ago that who was it that scored in the 98th minute here at the stadium, and that at the time was the latest goal in MLS history. So I would venture to say that's it's probably been a later one since then, as sort of added time has grown a little bit.
Yeah, we've seen more true
years.
time, I believe, is what they call it.
Yeah, but 105th minute, that's late.
Yeah, it's like I said, they ended up playing 18 minutes of stoppage time in the second half. Just a ridiculous amount there.
Kai Kamara, that's who scored that goal.
Of course it was Kai Kamara. Who else would it be? One of the leading scorers in MLS history. Well, hopefully we don't get 18 minutes of stoppage time, and hopefully, definitely, we don't get a Houston Dynamo win next week at 7:30 here at Toyota Stadium. It's next Saturday. It's the last game before the March FIFA break. So we will have kickoff at 7:30. Pregame on the FC Dallas Radio Network will start at 7 o'clock. We will get you ready for the first El Capitan battle of 2026. But that's going to do it for tonight's postgame show. FC Dallas goes honors even 3-3 with San Diego FC here at Toyota Stadium. For Nick Harris, for Steve Davis, I have been Sam Hale. You've been listening to FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
This has been a presentation of the FC Dallas Radio Network.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
It's a moment when I show up, God, I'm saying wow.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games, plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa, rest in one of our vast hotel towers, and catch the biggest names in music and comedy at the spectacular Lucas Oil Live, all just 1 hour north of DFW. So come live in the wow at the world of WinStar.
God, I'm saying wow.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. the spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation, and the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
With the 2026 Toyota Tacoma all-terrain capability and advanced tech, you can do whatever you want.
Whatever we want?
Yep,
Whatever we want! Like waking up in a tent with zero cell service on purpose.
Or driving down a rocky trail that was never actually a road.
Or going out and doing donuts before we've had breakfast.
Or catching sunrise by the lake, and maybe even a fish if we're lucky.
The 2026 Toyota Tacoma, for every kind of adventure. Test drive at your local Toyota dealer or visit toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Feature availability differs based on trim. See toyota.com for details.